Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is the week in review. So ease your seat back, get comfortable. It's the first week in review of 2024 of the new year. We're happy you're joining us. Thank you so much for choosing. Spend your Saturday night with us. Now, I will say, I wanted to go with my best foot forward into the new year. I thought, you know what, John? You're kind of a grump. You're kind of a curmudgeon a little bit, like, is everything really that bad? Now, while we can say that, yes, a lot is that bad and a lot of things, and while wrestling certainly isn't perfect, there is a lot to love about it, even in this day and age. And I will say, while being completely forthright in saying, I did not watch Rampage. I watched a few clips from Rampage, and I did not see any of Collision. Ashton, you know why that is, because I messaged you. I was obviously tied up with other stuff. Um, I yeah, I really enjoyed what I did watch this week. I watched all of Raw, all of NXT, all of Dynamite, and all of SmackDown, which is the most I've done in what feels like years. And I have to say, really strong week across the board. I'm still debating who had the best show this week because I feel like each show had something that when you put them all together disparately makes for a solid kind of itinerary. But any show on its own, maybe NXT, because I really did enjoy NXT this week. I could see why people have kind of turned back around on it. I also surprisingly enjoyed Dynamite this week, but I have my reasons for that, which we'll get into. But yeah, all of this to say that I actually felt pretty positive about this week. And I have to share this with the class, Ashton, then I'm going to hand it over to you because I'm very curious about your thoughts this week because I know you were really good about it and even better, like I was, because I'm pretty sure you watched Collision. I was even tempted to watch TNA this week, and the only reason I couldn't was because it was a recap show of like TNA's greatest moments because they're going back to TNA. So I didn't even bother with it. But with that said, partner, how'd you feel about this week in the world of wrestling?
I kind of, in a way, paid more attention to wrestling as well, just kind of for the opposite reason than you. Because you wanted to pay more attention to wrestling to be like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. I, on the other hand, paid attention to AEW specifically to count Tony Khan's bag fumbles.
You know what? That's a beautiful thing.
Would you
You're
like
doing
to
the communist work.
guess how many total bag fumbles Tony Khan had, according to me and my face, through 5 hours of television this week?
I know you've been doing the individual tallies like per show in the Discord.
Yeah.
Yet another reason why you should get a Discord subscription. If you haven't, $3 a month, check it out in the Patreon in the
Hmm.
description box below. But I'm not going to do math in front of all
Oh
these
no, I don't
people.
want you to count. I want you to guess.
Guessing is more fun. 45.
Very close. Very close. You actually, believe it or not, overestimated. It was 40 on the dot.
You know what? I'm proud of myself though, because that was really close. All right.
Imagine, though, being such a Hall of Fame level, legendary, grandstanding bag fumbler that you managed to do it 8 times an hour.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I can't. I can't. Every 8.5 minutes, you're just fumbling a bag. Every 8.5 minutes, just bag fumble, bag fumble, bag fumble.
I mean, damn. Damn. I will say, man, I'm curious to hear your perspective on especially Dynamite because I feel like on the whole I'm more positive on it. And I'll just get this out there because we're talking about AEW, so this feels like an appropriate place. I think why I like Dynamite so much, and we've talked about this. No Chris Jericho, no Sammy Guevara, no FTR, no Bucks. So many of the acts that kind of define AEW when they were out of the picture. Now, don't get me wrong. There were still problems. You and I talked about them on Rocket League that very night because I asked you, like, how did you feel about Dynamite? And we kind of like unpacked the show together. But I will say it was one of the stronger episodes of Dynamite because it wasn't clogged by all of like the people that just want to get themselves over and that are narcissistic marks and all that stuff. So I really like Dynamite this week, I will say on
Yeah.
the whole, despite its
I will
problems.
say, if we go
Yeah,
by bag fumbles per hour, fumbling or yeah, Dynamite was the best show of the week.
nice. Okay,
Dynamite did
okay.
have the fewest fumbles per hour of the week. Dynamite, I counted 12 definite fumbles with one potentially to come, whereas both Collision and Rampage had 14 apiece, which is especially brutal for Rampage when you consider that's only a 1 hour show.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and dude, that's why when you said Jericho Guevara and this and that, like, it's like I tell you guys all the time, right? And that's why I'm really trying to cultivate a new attitude in the new year. And cultivate is a word I have to stress because cultivation implies, depending on what you're trying to cultivate, whether a virtue, a talent, whatever, varying levels of exertion. And I think to really be positive on pro wrestling with everything, and I'm making the wild like everything gesture to encompass the earth, it is a considerable exertion. But I think what helps is when you know you don't like somebody, don't watch it. That's why I don't like when people are like, if you don't like the product, don't watch it. Well, no, that's too wholesale. But yeah, I can definitely trim around. If I don't like this or that person,
Yeah.
cut it out. And even then with Raw, I don't like Nia Jax. I felt like her and Becky had a pretty decent match this week. And I'll
Oh,
credit Becky for that,
wow.
absolutely.
Okay. I was under the
Um,
impression that Nia was sloppy again because I saw a report that Becky got busted open hard way.
oh, Jesus Christ. Who knows? Because obviously the whole story was, oh, I made the man when I broke your nose and this and that. So maybe in a way they wanted to retread that in their own way. I don't fucking know, right? But I felt like the match could have been a lot worse. And I was pleased with how, like, it was kind of able to contain itself
Right.
and not be as abysmal as I thought it could be. Um, but yeah, the point being that, like, if I really saw it sucking, I would have tuned out. In fact, I think there was one. Oh, perfect example. I completely tuned out when it comes to Raw. That Jinder Rock segment, to me, for what I watched this week, and again, I've already admitted, did not watch Rampage, did not watch Collision. That Rock Jinder segment was the worst thing on wrestling this week. I hated it. And Foster, I apologize to you because I know you just gave me props for my positivity. But again, you also know, my friend, I am against toxic positivity. I am not gonna lie about that shit. That shit stank. That was awful. And yeah, I agree with you there too, Foster, because everything Jinder called out America for, I'm like, oh God, you suck so bad, but facts.
Did you
So,
pull a Bobby Fish?
yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, if I did it with a lot more charisma and talent. But
Well,
yes,
yeah.
yes, essentially yes.
The folks raised the
Um,
eye thing.
exactly. By the way, I'm just now noticing this. We have our Stardom Live reactions background for this. Is that in
Oh,
like
I should fix that. Thank you for pointing that out. I've been fumbling the bag on that myself.
your face never fumbles bags? Your face is beautiful, sir. Okay, and I just want to affirm that for everybody in this room. But yeah, um, all right. But no, that to me for what I watched was the worst segment in wrestling this week. But I love that you like sampled all of AEW so you could be like, no, no, that was a two-pack of ass, but this was abysmal. So let's get to talking about it, man. What show should we start with first? Because I'm full energy. Should we just talk about Collision since that was the most
Yeah, you know
recent
what?
show?
It's the freshest thing on everybody's minds. We might as well start with Collision. I will say one thing I want to just address before getting into Collision is the Starlight Kid controversy that just happened today.
Ooh, we're talking Stardom, huh? Yeah.
This is not just this week in the world of televised wrestling. It's week that's, it's stuff that we care about, and we care about Starlight Kid. So let's just address it, make sure that anyone that wants to hear our opinions on it can hear our opinions on it, and then move on.
Well, I find your voice to be a fine glass of wine and your opinions to give it that rich flavor. So, if you wouldn't mind starting the conversation, I would very much appreciate it.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, which I'm sure there are some of you who don't, because I know that not everybody in here follows Stardom, or maybe some of you are just kind of per- peripherally aware of Stardom. Starlight Kid is a masked wrestler who has been masked for her entire career as Starlight Kid. There was a video, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago that was posted on YouTube by a gaijin. I don't remember which one. That featured her maskless, and there was a huge blowback for it. She got all kinds of harassment online for posting this video because she accidentally featured Starlight Kid in it without a mask on. And it was this big deal of like, oh my god, you need to take this video down. And she eventually did. She took the video down. She put it back up without the clip of maskless Starlight Kid in there, and all was well with the world. It was an honest mistake, whatever. But today, somebody intentionally posted a video of just Starlight Kid in what I believe was like a rehearsal before a pay per view, not wearing her mask, going through like a rehearsal, doing her poses and stuff at the turnbuckle in the ring. And the internet has been ablaze trying to call for Sonny Gutierrez's head because they think it was him, because there was also a recent forum post by Sonny on the Wrestling Observer newsletter forums, just kind of generally talking shit about Kid, talking about how she's been lazy and she's gotten out of shape, and how she and her mother are big time politickers, and how he wouldn't put her in the top 10 in ring in this company, which frankly I agree with that part. Just because it's just such a talented roster that to put her in the top 10 I think is a little silly. And even John, who's a bigger fan of hers than me, agrees with that part as well.
Yes.
But like the rest of it was out of line, I think for sure. But still, the fact that he said that and then this comes out, people are trying to connect the dots and be like, oh my God, it was him. But there was also another tweet that came out today that said he wouldn't have even had access to that footage because that was footage that was for the pay per view stream. And he films shit for Stardom World. And those are two completely different feeds. And so he wouldn't have had access to that exact feed. So if anyone is definitely innocent in this, it is him, which again makes me feel like who the fuck could it have been? But at this point, people are just so desperate to point fingers and to blame someone and to witch hunt that this dude is catching all of this blowback. And there's now basically two victims because Starlight Kid is a victim because her maskless face has been revealed to the world without her consent. And now fucking Sonny is arguably a victim as well, depending on if he actually did it or not, which it seems very unlikely given the new information that just came out that he wouldn't have had access to that feed, which means that he is now a victim too because of the whole witch hunt against him. So, you know, it's a whole thing and it's really obnoxious. And I think the most sort of the thing that I'm going to double down on that I said in the Discord is the internet needs to chill the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't wanna contribute to the obnoxiousness of prolonging this. I will say I think there's a deeper conversation here to be had with Stardom being a uniquely, a Joshi promotion, like an all-women's kind of promotion as far as the talent goes, and how there is still patriarchy to worry about. There are still sexist norms, especially online. Like, I think that informed a lot of Hana Kimura's bullying as well, because they threw a lot of things in her face that, like, "Oh, you're so mean," or this and that because of a fucking reality show. And just the way that women, especially in entertainment and like these women in Stardom, can be socially positioned, I think leaves them very vulnerable. That kind of vitriol and abuse, and I think those kinds of violations. And I've wanted to come at this very, very like even keel because I am a big Starlight Kid fan, but I didn't want to just be like, oh, pro her, because we also know with Sunny on the message boards, that's where the Tam stuff came out. And I've been kind of working through my feelings on Tam ever since, because there was only that one incident where she pranked Mina and Unagi that I started being a bit sus on Tam, but other than that, I really did like her and respect her as a performer. Now I'm all kind of jumbled up. With Kid, I'm a bit softer because she's in her early 20s. She's been in this business since she was a child. And, it's funny to me, and we've just gotta say it for what it is. This is how I see it, right? When Sonny uses the word like, "Oh, they're politicians," even if they're really bad politicians, I feel that that's a bit, acerbic. I feel like that's a bit uncharitable, especially, because he is coming from the male position and she's like the woman that is, doing the wrestling and this and that. I feel like it's more, and I even said this in the Discord, and I've said this to you in conversation, I feel like it's more advocacy. I think it's more just making sure that she's protected, that she isn't being exploited. Every worker should know that they're not being exploited. And obviously, you need a support system, I think, to effectively do that. As far as recent events today, I'll admit, even I didn't have full context. I just knew that people were kind of rallying behind Kid, and I'm always down for that cause because I really do think that the internet harassment is a huge problem, especially in Joshi. That's very concerning to me. But it's just a shame for me as a fan. Like Starlight Kid fans don't even win out either because I want to see her trending because she's having bangers. I want to see her trending because oh man, people are saying what a phenomenal wrestler she is, and she's in these programs and these feuds. And I have gotten like a few Stardom spoilers and stuff, unfortunately. So I know a little bit of what's coming up on the horizon in 2024. Really exciting stuff. But I wish more people were talking about that instead of this violation that she suffered. Now, I'm only hoping that she personally is okay. I don't know if she's tweeted anything in response to any of this. I have not seen any of this. But do I think Sonny should be fired ever since I was sick? No. Like Ashton said, we need to chill out. Okay. And really, everything that he did say, that we're kind of assessing here, you can say it's in poor taste, but, First Amendment right and all that. And it's not like I feel like he said anything necessarily like libelous or slanderous about Kid per se. I do think like the out of shape thing was a bit weird for me again because she is so young and she's in this kind of industry, and I'm like, out of shape, what? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
she's still able to,
let's not body
yeah,
shame women. I mean, really, let's not body shame anyone, but like, especially when you take into account that she's a woman, they definitely deal with it
yeah.
more, and also a young woman. Like, that's it's becoming more and more problematic the more we add on to it.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of my thing. So I think we just need to be careful how we talk about this and all the pieces, and that includes Ashton and I. But yeah, just as a Starlight Kid fan, it does hurt to see that she went through this, and I just hope she's in a good headspace because I really think 2024 can be a promising year for the young talents like her, Hanan, Azumi. Like I think they're ready to take the whole fucking thing, and I want Kid to be a part of that. So we'll have to see what happens. But now, do you want to formally get into Collision, or is there anything? I mean, did you want to touch on since we're just talking about Japanese stuff? Do we want to talk about Wrestle Kingdom at
You
all?
know what?
Uh,
Let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom, yeah, because there's not as much to talk about there. It's really not a lot to talk about at all, actually, because I personally only ended up watching two full matches and little bits and pieces of another. And the matches that I watched were Tsuji Uemura and Okada Danielson, and then I also watched very little of like tiny bits and pieces of Naito Sonata. That's it though. So I don't know how much you watched.
Oh, well, I didn't watch anything of Wrestle Kingdom. I will say though, I do just want to share this because my friend Angel, who has been in the chat a few times, you guys know him. I think he's despite wisdom in the chats. He asked for like just a singular link of just Danielson Okada 2, and I sent it to him, and I just have to read his reaction because I found it fascinating. Um, he said, "Nah, those two don't have the chemistry we all think they have in our heads. Maybe it happened too late." And then when I said, "Damn," laughing my fucking ass off, he followed it up with, "It's a shame, but also makes me feel better about dream matches we never got, like Angle versus Brett was an example that came to his mind." And that's something that I've always kind of felt personally. Before you give your thoughts on Okada Danielson, and you said Orimura Suji was the other full match you watched. I've always felt that way about dream matches. Like it's nice to think about in my head. Like I remember I once saw like a 5 second clip of Eddie Guerrero giving a shoulder block to Shibata, and I'm like, oh, like
Yeah.
that's that good shit. Where the fuck do I eat here? But there's always a time and a place for certain matches, and maybe those guys just missed their time. And for Angel to say that, like I've definitely really been thinking about that. So starting with Okada Danielson, because I'm curious about your thoughts on that. You think Angel was too harsh, or do you think there's some merit in his remarks?
I don't, I agree with him actually. I really didn't think that either one of these two guys' matches was anything special. I think this one was definitely better. I'll say that right now. I think this match was definitely better than the first one because this match felt like it told more of a story with Danielson trying to break the arm of Okada and Okada having to just sell that throughout the entire match. Every time he hit a move with his right arm, he had to, it was super painful. He was writhing in pain. There was also like a stubbornness aspect where he just refused to change his game plan to adapt to the arm being as damaged as it was. And then yeah, like by the end of it, he triumphed. He hit a second rainmaker because he hit a rainmaker earlier in the match, and Danielson didn't even have to kick out of it because Okada was in so much pain from hitting it with the right arm, which is the one that was damaged in the first place, that he wasn't able to go for a cover at all. So um, once he hit that second rainmaker, though, he was able to go for the cover and he won there. So
Right,
another good thing about the match right there is that we didn't have any ridiculous, obnoxious kickouts. So like, yeah,
right.
it's It's yeah, it was a solid match, but I would say nothing special, which is falling short of what we expected because of who's in it.
Let me ask you a follow-up question, bro, and then, I'd like to also hear your thoughts on Orimura and Tsuji, where I have, like, probably a question or 2 about that. So Okada beat Danielson. They're 1 and 1 now. I don't know if it's gonna be a trilogy. I guess that's up to both AEW and New Japan respectively. But barring that and putting that aside, you know that there's been, and we've contributed to it, some hubbub about Okada's future. Is he staying? Is he going? What else is there really for him to do? Like, now that he beat Danielson, unless they're gonna do a 3rd match again, I don't really see what else there is for Okada to do. Do you still think he might leave?
Yeah, man, I think there's a
Yeah,
possibility. It's
yeah.
like if I had to bet, like if I had to set a line on the odds of Okada going to WWE in 2024, I would set it at like 35%. Like I think that there's like a 35% chance that he goes. I still think it's more likely he just stays in New Japan, but I am that high now. I am at 35% likelihood that he goes to the E.
Just a little, like, poking follow-up, because I'm inclined to agree with you. I do think he stays in New Japan, but even my suspicion that he could leave has gone up. Is AEW not even in the conversation for you, that he would just go there since they already have the working relationship with New Japan, so it's like he leaves, but not really kinda thing, or do you think he just wants to make a clean break kinda thing?
I don't know.
Alright, well, we'll see. Moving on to Suji and Orimura, what did you think about this match?
It was good. It was good. Dude, I tell you right now, man, Tsuji's a stud. Tsuji just
Yeah,
like there's no doubt in my mind this guy's a stud. Uemura though, I really like him too. I think the three musketeers, I guess you could say, for New Japan going forward are going to be those two guys and Shota. I think those three guys have got something special going on. Um, and Uemura, I really like, but he needs a new finisher for sure. His finisher is not compelling at all. It's basically like, it's like a double arm trap belly to belly suplex with a bridge. That's pretty much the whole
yeah,
thing. That's the whole thing. And it's just, it doesn't look, I mean, it looks decent, but it doesn't look devastating, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that you get him a new good looking finisher and he's gonna be a stud for sure. I think he's more of like the fundamentals guy between him and Suji. Like Suji is the guy that is like, I'm gonna invest the bare minimum in these basic skills just so that I can unlock the higher tier skills. You know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
Uemura is like, I'm gonna fill in fucking everything. I'm gonna go full blown completionist. I'm gonna max out my skills in these lower level skills so that by the time I get to those higher level skills, I'm gonna learn them real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So, because
absolutely.
like Tsuji is out here doing curb stomps and spears and fucking topes as a big man. Like he's out here doing crazy shit. And Uemura does more boring stuff, but he does it in a compelling way. Uemura is more of that like Kings Road style, whereas Tsuji is more of like a new generation version of a New Japan wrestler. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there, man. I think your assessment's on the money. Do you, just because I'm and I hope it's not annoying you, but I'm liking this idea of just asking questions further burrow into your thoughts. You feel like it's hyperbolic, people that worry about Suji's, like, win rate? Because, like, I do think he's a stud,
Yes,
and I
I do
really
think it's
yeah.
hyperbolic. I think people need to stop. Dude, this guy just got back last June. His first match back was a world title shot, and he's come back down to earth since then. I think that's okay. Like he's allowed to settle down in the mid card, and that's pretty much where he is. I think it's all right. I like he's not gonna get buried to the point that he's like jobbing to Yoshihashi on a regular basis. Like we're all right. He's gonna be fine. He's insanely talented. He looks like a stud. He wrestles like a stud. He's basically New Japan's Roman Reigns. They're just not protecting him the way WWE protected Roman Reigns, and I think that's even better because then we're not gonna get sick of him the way that we got sick of Roman.
Yeah, like, here's the thing, I can understand where those people come from, and I think it comes from a good place because they like Suji and they wanna see him succeed,
Yeah.
but really my thing is, because I always say that, like, that was the fundamental thing, first episode to I feel like I said it, you are what you're booked, and I get that if you lose a long time, it's a lot of perception to overcome, but I don't even think he's losing that badly per your point, and 2, with a guy with his skill set and his look, you can flip it around like that. Like, it really wouldn't be that much of an effort to get people to buy him as a main eventer, even if he was kind of floating in the mid card for a little bit. I mean, this dude just has every conceivable tool imaginable to succeed. I think the only thing that could stop him would be like an act of God, something health related or whatever, or just his own personal ineptitude if he's not as serious or smart about this business as we'd like to believe him to be. Those are the only two things stopping this dude. And, like other than that, I could see him chugging along to big time matches and big time paydays in only a couple years. So I'm excited to see Suji's career unfold, man. I think it's going to be a thing of fucking beauty for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Naito regained the world title. Tanahashi's the world television champion. I'm happy as a ZSJ fan. I mean, hell, I could see ZSJ finally winning a fucking G1 this year, unless, of course, they want to give it to Sonata and kind of tell a similar story with Sonata and Naito that they did with Tanahashi and Okada way back when. So I don't know, but New Japan's making some moves, and I'm curious to see how they're all going to shake out for them.
Yeah, I should probably point out 2023 was the first year of Yota Tsuji's career with a winning win-loss record.
Oh, nice. Good shit for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like 2018 was his rookie year. He went 5-34-17. Then 2019 he went 16-81-4. 2020 he
Damn.
went 19-58-2. 2021 he went 13-65. 2022 he went 22-32-1. And then finally 2023 he went 53-51-2. So like he's come a long way win loss wise. He's doing great.
Yeah. Yeah. And then otherwise in Japanese wrestling, I know that TJPW had their first show of 2024, and I
Yep.
know you were plugged into some of
Oh
that. I
God.
was plugged into a little bit of it. Oh God, that sound like it
No,
really
it
didn't.
really
Yeah.
there's literally one specific result on the TJPW 2024, the January 4th show that they did that really just annoyed me, pissed me off, frustrated me, irritated me. What? Like it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
just I just can't understand the booking. I really can't. But like you can tell it's like, oh my god, classic TJPW. It's one of those things where I can't even say, oh, I don't understand this, because when I think about where the match happened, I'm like, oh, that's why they did this, because it's them. Max
Yeah.
the Impaler lost to Yuki Arai, and that, like, if you don't know what they look like, it's basically like a meerkat beating a grizzly bear in a fight.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. I know you were quite bewildered by that in the Discord. I will say, TJPW actually gained some goodwill with me recently because they announced for their March pay-per-view that it's going to be headlined by Miyu Yamashita defending the Princess of Princess Championship, pretty much their world title, against Miyu Watanabe. And I am all about that shit. I told Ashton. Now, normally Ashton comes to me when it's TJPW stuff like, yo, bro, TJPW's got the show happening. You want to do it? I'm like, no. But
Normally,
this
you're
made
more
a
like, what's the card?
yeah, yeah. I ask first to not be a total douche, but internally I'm like, this card's probably gonna suck. It'll be easy to say no, whatever. But when I saw that was the headliner, I told Ashton, even if it would only be a select match live reaction, which is possible because there are just some people in TJPW whose matches I don't like. Like I could very easily skip a Hyper Sal match, just as an example. But when I saw that was the headliner, I'm like, we've got to watch this. Like, I am all about this because the funny thing is, if we remember, last year, well, 2022 it would be, not 2023, because last year was 2023. 2022, Miyu Watanabe beat Miyu Yamashita in the Princess Cup. So we know she can beat Miyu Yamashita. Can she beat her when the title's on the line?
Yeah,
I really, really, really want to see it.
yeah,
So I'm excited for that match. In fact, Miyu Watanabe, bless her heart, because she's so freaking adorable, liked my tweet, and I know she's been liking a lot of fan tweets supporting her because I quote tweeted the promotional material for this world title match. Show's happening March 31st. And I said, on God, I will make any ritualistic sacrifice necessary to see Miyu Watanabe become the Princess of Princess champion. She's incredible, and I know she could take TJPW into the future, which she 100% can. Please, wrestling gods, let her win. So yeah, TJPW has actually got me hyped, like really hyped. I think Joshi might be getting ready to flex in the new year, which has got me all kinds of excited. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that rounds out
I
like
will
Japanese
say,
wrestling Joshi discussing.
just as far
Yes.
as the Max the Impaler Yuki Arai situation, I think the thing that pissed me off most about the match was the finish because Yuki jumped off the top rope and Max literally caught her like world's strongest slam position style, caught her. Yuki attempted a roll up on Max. Max kicked out at two, and then before Max could get back to their feet, Yuki kicked them in the head with an axe kick, and that was the end. It was a 3 count off the axe kick. That was it.
Damn. That really seems like it does a disservice to Max and their dominance.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's
yeah.
what I'm saying, right? That's like, are you even trying anymore, TJPW? It's really
Mm,
bad. Honestly, Max is a character who could be a very compelling monster heel champion in either of the main U.S. promotions, either of WWE or AEW. Honestly, you could put the Max the Impaler in either of those. Really, on any promotion, even you could put Max as on Raw, on SmackDown, on Dynamite. Doesn't really matter. They could be, and I mean, again, they might be non-binary, but of course these promotions would still recognize them as a women's champion, and you could put any of the women's championships you want on them, and they would be amazing with it. They would have great matches with all the women in those divisions for sure.
yeah. All right. Well, we're starting off 2024 the right way and in a substantive way with weekend review. If this is just the preliminary discussions, now let's get into the
Oh
main
yeah,
course,
I
starting with
wanted to address
yes.
Super Blue because Super Blue said Shota and that Noah guy, Kaito Kiyomiya, lost to Evil and Ren Narita. I saw clips of that match too, and they didn't lose clean. They lost because Evil and Ren cheated because they're House of Torture, and that's what they fucking do.
Since you brought this in when I was ready to move on, I will also just reserve the right to tag on that I saw a GIF of House of Torture trying to cut up a Noah shirt, and Evil apparently doesn't know how scissors work. Which, I mean, no judgment. I don't either, but like, I have cerebral palsy, so like, what's your excuse, dog?
Yeah,
Like, what are you
he,
bringing to the table?
he's an able-bodied, professional athlete. What the fuck?
So yeah, I just want to tag that on that GIF. Honestly, that moment and then a moment that happened on Rampage that I saw in a YouTube clip, I have to remember to put in for my funniest moment of the year because those are early candidates just right
Oh
off
yeah,
the
we
bat.
actually had a potential quote of the year on Collision tonight. If you want to transition into that.
Well, yeah, I've been ready to transition to that. So, let's talk about Collision. What do you want to talk about first?
So, I mean, we might as well start with what I just brought up, the potential quote of the year. The worst segment on Collision is actually the one that featured my potential quote of the year, because Adam Copeland came out, and I was excited about this because Copeland came out and he was like, Christian Cage wants me to earn my way back to contendership for that TNT title. Fine, I'm going to do it. I'm sure you've all noticed I'm out here in my wrestling gear. I'm ready to go. I'm laying down the challenge. Anyone in the back, come on out and let's do this. Call it uh, Cope's Open. What's it? What did he call it? Cope's Open Challenge or something? I don't even remember. The Cope Open. That's what he called it. Call it the Cope Open or something like that. Who do you think? I'm assuming you haven't seen any of this. So who do you think answered Cope's Open or the Cope Open?
I'm guessing some kind of jobber that Tony Khan is way too invested in. So, Action Andretti.
Excellent guess. You're
Thank you.
astonishingly close, and you're definitely on the right track. It was actually answered by, technically, the person who answered the challenge as far as the match goes was Griff Garrison.
So he has alliteration going. Is that it?
And so, to elaborate further, three people came out. It was Griff Garrison, Cole Carter, and Maria Kanellis, who I guess is managing them somehow. And this is
Yeah.
where this
Okay.
this segment got 6 bag fumbles for me because bag fumble number 1, Cole Carter on my TV. Bag fumble number 2, Griff Garrison on my TV. Bag fumble number 3, wasting Maria Kanellis's managerial talents on the 2 aforementioned scrubs. And then the 4th bag fumble was, instead of letting Maria, who we know is a damn good talker and manager, do the talking, they gave Griff Garrison the mic and let him do the talking.
God. Oh God. What the fuck?
Yeah. And, he did this whole spiel, trying to make a name for himself, basically. And then Copeland gets on the mic, and this is where my quote of the year came from because he said, Griff, I actually like you, and I've told you that you remind me of a young me, but I'm telling people to step up. But kid, you're out here stepping up from below sea level to Mount Everest here.
Yeah.
I was like,
Jesus Christ.
oh, he's so right. And the fact that he's acknowledging that and they're still doing this is like, mwah, chef's kiss of the lack of self awareness for Tony Khan.
Yes.
But
Oh my
so
God.
we had the match, and Griff Garrison actually got a near fall on Copeland, so that's bag fumble number 5.
So it wasn't just a squash, it was actually semi-competitive?
Well, of course, it's AEW. What do you think? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Copeland did win because, yeah, you sure as hell hope so. And then after the match, bag fumble number 6, Cole Carter tried. He actually attacked Copeland after the match and tried to do stuff and failed miserably. But Cole Carter trying at all is my 6th bag fumble for this segment. So the Tony Khan bag fumble segment of the week was this one. And it had 6 in one segment. It was literally without this one segment, because this segment lasted maybe 15 minutes tops, like absolute most 15 minutes. So the other hour and 45 minutes of Collision would have only had 8 bag fumbles through the entire hour and 45 minutes. But because of this one segment, it's up to 14.
You gotta admire its efficiency at the very least.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Um, so what came after that, bud?
That wasn't the first segment, though. That wasn't the first segment. That was in the middle of the show. I just wanted to point that out because of how awful it was.
Right, well, as I've stressed, we're not necessarily a recap show, we only talk about things either that we really like or that we just need to talk about because of how bad it is or just an urgency of
Yeah.
it, like, it could have ramifications for our talent, the
So
business, whatever.
that it's an
So
opportunity to split the show in half. So the first half of the show, I had 5 bag fumbles. Right. The first one was Sting wrestling on TV because Collision opened with a fucking Sting match. I just why do they keep doing this to him? Why
I
is
don't.
he being allowed to wrestle on TV? Sting should be a pay-per-view exclusive attraction.
Yeah, I agree with you there 100%. It's fucking Sting. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
So yeah, Sting and Darby versus, and here's the worst part: not only is he wrestling on TV, he's wrestling scrubs on TV because it was against the Workhorsemen.
Oh wow, Jesus
So
Christ.
it was J.D. Drake and who was the other guy in this? I think it was like Anthony Henry or something like that.
Sound like a bunch of jobbers
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, it was Anthony Henry. It is 2 jobbers. But so yeah, of course Sting and Darby win, but like, why is this match happening at all? Why is Sting wrestling on TV in a random like match that would have happened on Saturday night's main event 30 years ago? I don't understand the logic here. But yeah, no, they win. Then we get to I wouldn't consider this a bag fumble. The AEW Continental match, the Continental title match, Eddie Kingston versus Trent. The bag fumble was having Trent win on Dynamite in the first place. That was the first bag fumble.
Yeah.
I actually ended up giving that match 2 or 3 bag fumbles. Let me go back to the bag fumble count. I want to thank Javaris, by the way. I haven't credited him yet. I need to. Javaris has been the one for the last few weeks that's really been going out of his way to credit how much of a legendary bag fumbler Tony Khan is, just Hall of Fame level bag fumbler. And then somebody else in our Discord, Curtis, started to be like, oh, I'm going to count Ghetto and Tanahashi's bag fumbles between Wrestle Kingdom and New Year Dash. And I was like, oh, I mean, if we are going to have somebody counting bag fumbles from not Tony Khan, we need a measuring stick to compare them to because obviously we know who the real master is. So yeah, Tony Khan, Dynamite January 3rd. We had the 4-way to determine the number 1 contender for the Continental Championship, and so yeah, I had 3 bag fumbles on this one. Brian Keith getting a jobber entrance was one. Trent winning a match to determine Eddie Kingston's next contender when he was literally the least interesting option in the match is the other one. And then having Brian Keith eat the pin in said match after having gotten a jobber entrance. Racism is my third one.
Yeah.
Do you know who the other three options were other than Trent? I mean, obviously Brian Keith was one of them because I've mentioned him multiple times now. But do you know who the other two were?
Well, Brian Cage was one of them, right?
Brian Cage was one of them. Yes.
And then the other one?
The other one, I actually forget, but I remember like when I saw it, I was like, you know what? That would be better than Trent too. El Hijo del Vikingo.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been better than Trent too. That would have been more interesting for sure.
Yeah. I don't hate Trent, but I just look at the big beefy men like Cage and Dijak, and I'm like, has pro wrestling just passed them by? Like, what is happening? Like, why don't they get anything to do?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a real head scratcher to me.
yeah. All right. So, what else do you want to talk about as far as like, do you want me to just finish off my collision stuff?
Again, we're not a full recap show. If there's anything on Collision that you feel worth talking about, we can. We can move on to Rampage
I
real
want to
quick
talk
because I don't
about
think we talked about
something
them.
good. I want to talk about something good because like I feel like I've been very negative because of this whole bag fumbling thing. And there are a lot of them, to be fair. Like, for example, I already mentioned Sting wrestling on TV. Guess who else was on? Guess who? What other old ass was on TV multiple times on Collision tonight?
Don't tell me Ric Flair.
Twice.
Jesus Christ.
He was out there with Sting and Darby during that first match at ringside, and then later on in the night, he cut a promo backstage.
Oh, why would you let him talk?
Yeah, on their behalf too. Like he was standing in between Sting and Darby, talking for them, being like, "This Sting is the legend," the whole shit, the whole shtick.
Sting's the best talker of that group. Like,
Yeah,
I hate Darby's promos. I don't even know if I would put Ric Flair like above him though, because Rick is just so old now and like
Dude,
so
Rick is
confused.
incoherent at this point. It's bad.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Let it stop,
I'm not
please.
even trying to say like he was drunk or anything. I'm not trying to go there. Literally, just he's old, and he probably had a fucking dentures in, and maybe they weren't glued on very tightly or something because he was unintelligible, or at least barely intelligible.
So that's really
Oh,
unfortunate.
so here's
I will
something that
say
can be interpreted. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Before we move on to a whole different thing, you obviously have more thoughts you want to get out about this. Go ahead.
no, 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 no. Actually, I was trying to take us to a whole different thing because I was in pain thinking about Ric Flair. But if you were going to, please, sir, you still have the floor
So
by all
here's
means.
something that is a mixed bag. I see it as more negative than positive because of like the extenuating circumstances, but if we look at it just in a vacuum, it's exciting.
Yeah,
Hook decided to challenge Samoa Joe for the world title,
that is cool. That is
right?
cool.
Yeah, like in a vacuum, it's like, wow, Hook is challenging the world champion. This is awesome. But then it's like, okay, um, why didn't he do more earlier than this? Why has he spent the last like 2 years floating around randomly defending the FTW title and doing literally nothing the fuck else? Why is this his first promo and I don't even know how long? Why has he never challenged for any other championships in AEW ever prior to this?
Yeah, and even if somebody would bat away all those things and they were really like dogmatically committed to the booking and the trajectory of Hook as it was, why did you have him lose the FTW title to Jack Perry? Like, because at the very least, you could have had a streak with him, even with the booking that he was under, right? I mean, I agree with you wholesale, but even if you want to argue, like, no, the way they did it was fine. I feel like he should have had a streak going in his home like this. Like, I felt like he had such a presence before when it was like, who can beat this guy? Like, what's his depth? Because he finishes people so quickly. Like, who's going to be the first to really challenge him? And you have Jack Perry be the one that he beefs with, like, considerably. Like, that, fuck me, man. Like, that's the thing. For as much as I'd like to be more positive about AEW, you gotta fucking earn that shit. I felt like Dynamite this week. Earn that shit. And parts of Rampage. There's one segment in particular that I'm kind of getting to talk about, but it's a light thing. We can wait on that. But
Nice.
yeah, like, you gotta earn it. You gotta earn it. I'm not just gonna freely give it out
Yeah.
and do all the work. You gotta do the work too. So step it the fuck up. Jack Perry's a fucking joke. No reason a guy like that should have beaten a guy like Hawk. Now, I'm still excited. Like you said, I think you used the perfect phrasing in a vacuum,
Yeah.
because I could see the grappling and like the contrast in styles and how they complement each other and this and that. But Hook he doesn't have the fanfare he did at the earlier, even last year. or whatever. Like, you gotta build him up if they're gonna be serious about that. Now, maybe AEW will, maybe they won't. We'll have to wait and see. But
I
yeah,
mean, it's
I
like
am
at this
intrigued to
point
see
you're
what they
just
do with it.
striking cold iron.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
this iron was hot so long ago, and you just let it be hot and let it cool down, and now you're trying to strike it when it's cooled down, and you're not really doing anything productive here.
Yeah. Like how that man at the very least, like if we were gonna elevate him and challenge him, like didn't have a program with Christian and then like Christian would have been like, well, your dad may not be dead, but it would have been better if he was because Taz is a joke or something. And even if you would have had Taz cut one promo, because I hate third parties getting overly involved,
Yeah.
you could have done a lot of stuff with Hook and Christian even, but they never really like challenged Hook. They never presented him in a bigger spotlight. Like there are times I forget he exists, bro. I'm not trying to even be mean. I'm just being honest. There are times I forget, like, oh yeah, Hook's a thing. And then I'm reminded like how cool he used to be. And then I'm like, God damn, they
Yep.
fumbled that bag. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yep. And then we get Undisputed Kingdom versus Commander and Brian Keith. So glad to see Brian Keith getting featured more. Glad to see Commander. I was happy about this match. I thought this was cool. I only had one question, that is, why is this happening? Is there a storyline that I'm not aware of, or is there no storyline here and it's just happening for the sake of it happening?
Right.
Because this was a
Yeah.
good match. I gotta say, like, I feel like I'm alone on an island here, being the only person on the planet that actually likes Mike Bennett and Matt Taven as performers in a tag team, not in the main event. I don't want them near the main event, especially not Taven. But as a tag team, working, these like lower to mid card matches against guys like Brian Keith and Commander, I like them, man. I think they're good. They kind of remind me of NXT Revival, low key.
I'd probably agree with you if I saw more of it. For me, it's just lack of exposure because I think for me, if I'm just holding myself accountable, I do have just the memory of Taven being positioned as a main event guy in Ring of Honor, and Bennett. I know they tried to make him a singles guy, particularly in the E with Maria.
Yeah.
And God, that
It's
theme song
to the
was iconic.
greatest,
There it is.
greatest. Dude, legendary theme song. I can't believe they dropped the ball on that. And look at
Yeah,
that. That's a bag fumble by Vincent.
yeah, exactly. Fuck you, Vincent.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, they're the ROH Tag Team Champions. They seem like they're in a really snug spot right now, which is good. I feel like, when you find your spot, then you can really start to cook, and it seems like they found theirs, which I think is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Um, anything else from because this was still from Collision?
Yeah, this is all collision. That was a
This is
fun
all
match. We got
yeah.
a backstage, like an interview segment where Bullet Club Gold were getting interviewed, but then Billy Gunn and the Acclaim showed up, and Bullet Club Gold were like scared of them. Like they were like, whoa, 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 and they like backed up and like went to the other side of the interviewer as if I think it was like Renee was gonna protect them from Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed. So that was a bag fumble because it made them look like cowards. Um, because like they worked together on Wednesday. Like they both have a problem with the Undisputed Kingdom, and they were working together to beat them up. And like if Bullet Club Gold sees them as, you know allies, that's cool. But even if they don't see them as allies, they should see them as targets, not as threats. Like this makes
Oh,
no
see that part.
sense.
That part I agree with you on. Like they should see them just as competition.
Yeah,
Working together
because they're the
might be
fucking
a
trios champs.
well, yeah, and like working together might be a bit strong only because like in the segment on Wednesday, Undisputed Kingdom. I was about to say United Kingdom, Undisputed Kingdom. Oh, God, everything's undisputed today. Took out Bullet Club Gold before Acclaimed made the save, and then when they kind of recovered, it's like, nah. So it was kind of
Yeah.
an accidental, unintentional
Right.
working together. But
But
I get
that's
your
what this
point
segment was
regardless.
about, though. It was basically Billy Gunn and the
Yeah,
Acclaimed basically being like, hey, we kind of think we should work together to take out
right.
the Undisputed Kingdom. But still, like, I just feel like Bullet Club Gold should have seen them as, like, the targets because they're a trio now without Juice, and Juice is going to be out for a while because he got back surgery, I believe. So,
Yeah.
like, they should see them as their targets. It's like, oh, you guys have the trios titles. We're a trio. We should be going after you to win those titles.
Yeah. Well, they'll come together eventually. I just hate when and AEW will probably do this. I just hate when wrestling kind of drags out storylines like this. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a common enemy. Just work together and get to the warfare stuff. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Um,
So that was all the
and
first half of the show before we got to the garbage ass fucking Cole Carter, Adam Copeland, or not Cole Carter, Griff Garrison, Adam Copeland bullshit, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
right. So then we got to more good stuff. There was more good stuff on this show. There was the second half of this show was pretty strong. After the Griff Garrison Copeland stuff, I only had three bag fumbles the entire rest of the show.
Nice.
One of them was Ric Flair getting televised mic time. That was like, get the fuck out of here. Then we had um, Sky Blue versus Kiera Hogan, which was a solid match. But my fumble here was Sky Blue. I don't know if you know this, John. I posted this, but I don't know if you saw it. Sky Blue has had 26 televised matches in the last 26 weeks
So a match a week, essentially, if not like,
on
yeah,
average. Like there have been weeks where she
yeah,
hasn't wrestled, but then there have also been weeks where she's wrestled two times in 1 week.
yeah. They really like. Okay, so just for me, just to be very quick about it, I don't really have any substantive opinions, positive or negative, about her. I just know that AEW is very invested in her, and I really think they want to make her a thing. Like, like one of the
Well, yeah,
centerpieces of their women's division in my mind.
that's kind of the bag fumble though because she's mid.
Yeah, from what I've seen, she's not the worst wrestler I've ever seen by far,
It's
but
very
I don't really
Vince
see.
of Tony to
Yeah,
want to push her because like she's basically Alexa Bliss. She's young and cute and has, you know, cute tushy, and that's what everyone's all wild about. And she's a mid wrestler, and everyone is like, oh my god, more Sky Blue on my TV, please. And they get plenty of her on their TV. And now Tony Khan is pushing her to the point that, like I said, she has averaged a televised match a week, every week for the last half a year.
yeah, and I think the phrase you used in the Discord, and I don't want to misquote you here, so I want you to fact check me before I go any further, but I think you used the word perfectly acceptable
Yeah,
for her. That was your
yeah,
exact
I said
phrasing.
she's a fine talent, she's perfectly acceptable, but perfectly acceptable does not warrant being featured on TV every single week, and sometimes even
Yeah,
multiple times a week.
and I would agree with that, and especially because again, I feel like this is AEW's intention that they want to make her like a cornerstone of the division. I just don't really see that when like Riho, Hikaru Shida, Chris Statlander.
Yeah.
I wish
Dude, I made
Athena
a
got more
whole ass
AEW.
list of every woman who's been in a match with Sky Blue over the last half a year that she's been getting an average of a televised match a week. So it's Ruby Soho, Taya Valkyrie, Anna Jay, Soraya, Tony Storm, Hikaru Shida, Willow Nightingale, The Renegades, which is Robin and I don't remember the other one, Britt Baker, The Bunny, Marina Shafir, Emmy Sakura, Chris Statlander, Hollywood Haley, which was just a great name, Red Velvet, Abaddon, Queen Aminata, Thunder Rosa, and now Kiera Hogan. So that is, I think, like 18 names that I just listed that are all women that could be wrestling on TV instead of Sky Blue. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not stoked about all of those names. Like, I could do without more Tony Storm, we get enough of her. I could do without more Soraya, we get enough of her. You don't have to feature the Renegades or like Hollywood Haley, as great as that name is, because I know that they're like jobbers. But like, we could always do with more Red Velvet. We could always do with more Willow Nightingale. We could always do, like you mentioned, Hikaru Shida. I mean, Sakura is barely ever on TV ever. I mean, Statlander and Willow were on the show tonight, but they were just in a backstage segment doing a promo. And Statlander had like a fucking monitor lizard on her shoulder, and she asked it a question and it didn't answer, and they act like it did.
Wow. So yeah, I really don't have anything to add to that.
That wow was so salient.
Yeah. Um, what else would you like to discuss from Collision?
um, we got Claudio Castagnoli versus Andrew Everett. I know you remember Andrew Everett.
God, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Like I remember it, but damn, that's kind of like a nostalgia blast, low
I
key.
know. Remember when he used to be a badass tag team with Trevor Lee in PWG?
Yeah.
Well, you know his whole new gimmick now is that he thinks he's a giant, right?
Oh, he's still doing that?
Yeah,
Okay,
he
yeah.
even kind of tried to do that tonight, but it didn't work out very well because he kind of just straight up got squashed here by Claudio fully.
Nice.
I don't think he got any offense in at all.
Nice. He big leagued him.
Oh no, he did. He got a Pele kick and a high kick, and then he missed a shooting star and then lost.
I guess that star crashed and
Yeah.
burned.
See, but like
Um,
this is like why doesn't AEW do this more often? This is a good thing. We need more squashes or like at the very least like go back and watch early NXT. Those types of like 3 to 5 minute exhibition matches where one person pretty much dominates and maybe the other person gets a little bit of shit in but not much. Not this fucking Griff Garrison versus Adam Copeland. We're going to go 8 to 10 minutes and make it seem like the underdog has a chance when everyone knows damn well he doesn't. Bullshit.
yeah, yeah. Dude, that's the funny thing with Claudio. I do like occasionally how AEW books him because they put him in another squash type matchup on a collision right before he challenged Orange Cassidy for the international title a little while back. And that made me pop. I'm like, this is fucking Claudio. I mean, look at the dude. He's a killer. Like, it's fucking believable. I like seeing him squash people. I should go and actually watch that. I enjoy watching big league people. That's great.
It was
So
great.
yeah.
He did the swing. He only got like 8 or 9 revolutions, but the crowd counted to 10 because they did that thing where they count seconds rather than revolutions.
Yeah.
And then yeah, he won with the neutralizer. I think he actually hit the neutralizer and then also a lariat afterwards to win. But it was cool to see him dominate. And then he challenged Hangman to a fight on Wednesday.
Ooh, see, that's something I can sink my teeth into.
Yeah,
I'm hoping
like
Daniel might see
maybe
another
maybe
strong
this is a
outing this
good
week.
thing. Maybe this will keep Adam away from Swerve for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, we'll get to that a bit later. Are we ready to move on to Rampage, or was there more from
There is
Collision?
there's one other thing left that I wanted to talk about, and that's House of Black versus FTR, which was the main event of the show tonight.
And FTR beat House of Black, did they not?
Yeah, of course they did. That was my last bag fumble of the night because it's
Yeah.
just egregious.
Yeah, I miss when Malachi Black was a singles competitor. I want to see
He
him go after
apparently,
like
I don't know if it was Curtis that said this or Javaris. I don't remember who it was, but apparently Malachi Black didn't wrestle a single singles match in 2023.
that's not surprising because yeah, everywhere you look, he was always with Brody King and what's his name?
Buddy
I'm blank.
Matthews, that's
Buddy
who he
Matthews.
wrestled
Buddy
with
Matthews.
tonight.
Yeah,
His partner was tonight.
yeah. And I like those guys, even though I had a brain fart on Buddy Matthews' name. I like both guys. They're both great workers. But like Malachi is such a great character and such a great singles performer in his own right, especially now with Joe as the world champion. That should open the fucking floodgates for a lot of new and exciting matches in AEW. And I'd love to see Malachi and Joe go at it personally, but that's just me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah,
And
Misfit is right that House of Black did do a beatdown on FTR after the match. It was actually not just FTR; it was FTR and Daniel Garcia because Brody King came out with a chair, I believe, or no, Brody King came out like he was going to help House of Black win because clearly Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black should need help to beat FTR. He came
yeah,
out like he was going to help them win, and then Daniel Garcia of all people came out with a chair and hit King with it and to beat him down enough that he basically neutralized him. And then yeah, we got FTR with the win, and then we got the 3-on-3 where House of Black at full power beat down FTR and Daniel Garcia. So
yeah.
that was the whole thing. But like again, I just fuck FTR and fuck Daniel Garcia, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
I feel
shouldn't be
you on
saying that
that.
because they're supposed to be baby faces, all three of them, I think.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell sometimes, especially with Garcia.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
So that's Collision.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as Rampage goes, there's only just one thing that I was really going to talk about, and again, because we don't
Yes.
have to necessarily be sequential because we're not a recap show. Um, I know that you hate Justin Roberts. I also don't care for Justin Roberts, which is why it was so fucking sweet for this one segment when Stokely big leagued him and took his job for this one match because he does ring announcing introductions for Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale because the storyline currently seems to be that
Yes.
Stokely wants Chris Statlander as a client. And there was one quote in his introduction that had me dying when I watched this on YouTube. He described Chris Statlander as, quote, I'm going to unmute for this so I can get my real poetry voice for you, or I should say I'm going to uncrisp for this. Chris Statlander, you are thicker than a Snickers.
Yes.
And I I will tell you something right
Dude, he
now,
didn't
people.
even wait. To be clear though, he didn't say her name. Like he was describing a woman, and it was kind of implied that he was talking about Willow. He didn't say it was Chris until the very end, and Willow looked offended, and Chris
Yeah.
looked grossed out too.
Yeah. Now, I would like to think between, I mean, Foster, between Superior Paul, who is just deeply handsome emotionally and physically. I would say Abel, but he's my son, so it's kind of weird now. But I would say that my thirsting and let's just be honest, my platonic flirting is pretty strong. But I bow before just the majesty and the eminence of Stokely fucking Hathaway. This goddamn king, every time this dude is on my screen or on my Twitter feed, I give him attention because it's what he deserves. I would like to formally petition using this TWitWoW broadcast as the foundation. I would like to formally petition that Justin Roberts lose his job and Stokely Hathaway become AEW ring announcer full time. Does the motion pass?
I.
Aye. And we'll see in the chat. If it passes, I'm willing to bet that it does. I'm able to even instead Stokely Hathaway for permanent announcer. I um I appreciate that, Superior Paul. I appreciate that. You've got me blushing a little bit. My cheeks have been besieged by a crimson blush. But all of that said, I
Damn,
I'm
you're
also
stuck
going
in poetry mode.
I am I'm gonna be also a piece of shit. I know everybody's really just been enjoying my positivity and my attitude, but I really need Chris Statlander to beat the shit out of Willow Nightingale and go with Stoke. I need it. I need her to knee Willow right in her smiling fucking face and leave her crying in the middle of the ring, emotionally destitute with no friends and bereft of all security and trust as she picks up the broken pieces of her life. I need it.
Oh my
So,
god.
yeah, yeah. I that was a lot of judgment in that tone just now. I'm gonna ask you to suck some of it back in. But I do think that Stokely and Chris would be an amazing dynamic duo. So Statlander, take the business card, make the phone call, preferably when Willow isn't around, because it's always nice when they don't see the dagger coming. And get your
Oh
career
my
back on track to that
god.
AEW Women's World Championship because looks like the time for Timeless Tony Storm is running the fuck out.
I have a
But yeah, it was a
question, and this is not
sure.
necessarily just for you, but it's definitely for you.
Yeah. What's that?
How do I reconcile not knowing who I like more between Statlander and Willow? I like them both a lot.
But you also respect Stokely Hathaway. So,
Of
like,
course, dude. Again, I pinged you in the Discord. I need you to look at the message that I replied to in your ping.
oh dear God. Um, let's see. Well, because you tagged me looking at the bag fumbles on Rampage.
Yeah, it
Let's
says
see.
look at the last fumble, by the way, and know
Yeah,
that the comment
Justin
is
Roberts.
yeah, that comment is unedited. I posted that comment the night of Rampage. I hate him too, so much so that his last announcement of the night annoyed me so much that I made him a bad fumble.
Yeah. And and like that's why Stokely needs to, and I'm gonna say it pithily now, replace the face.
Pithily.
Replace the face.
He
It
said
needs to
pithily.
happen, people. Look, Stokely has made me feel things. He's put me back in touch with the worst and so for me the best parts of myself. And I am so grateful. This man deserves a winning client. I'm tired of him representing fucking people that don't go anywhere. Chris Statlander is that client. She's a beast. She's amazing. And I mean, Willow, friendship's cool and all, but I mean, how many AEW women's championships have you won with friendship?
Listen, man, she has won a championship for a superior promotion, the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Thank you very much.
First of all, I want to be composed enough in myself to understand that your face does have the authority to speak about superior things being a superior thing in and of itself. Secondly, though, let's not act like that wasn't a fortuitous circumstance, okay? We know that title was made for Mercedes, and I like Willow, but we know it was made for Mercedes. Chris Statlander, on the other hand, one of the most dominant TBS women's champions of all time. And she'll be the dominant AEW women's champion as soon as she kicks Willow to the goddamn curb and goes with Stokely Hathaway.
Can we compromise
So
and just have them both go with Stokely?
I'm not compromising with your face on this. It's
But you're
either
still
trauma
getting
or
your
it's
way.
nothing.
It's just both of them.
Why do you sound so
I
scared of
like
my
both
heels,
of them,
man?
man. I don't want them to break up, okay?
I will admit, even though this is practically a squash tag team match, they are a fun tag team.
Yeah.
And being a bit more serious, because I've had my fun, just because I really couldn't wait to talk about this. Because, dude, again, in all seriousness, I love Stokely, and I feel like he could do so much more. He's him and Athena are practically carrying ROH on their back for me, as far as me still thinking about ROH and like, huh, maybe I should watch that more one day, just because I love them both so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's fucking great. Um, but you know who else is fucking great, sincerely? I do like Willow. I think Willow's come a long way.
Yes.
And in fact, it's funny, dude, when we're talking about most improved, because I know we just had awards, I should have maybe even had her as an honorable mention, because I do feel like she's gotten better even from like a year ago that we saw her 6 months ago. Like, I feel like she is somebody that's growing all the time in her craft. And I do genuinely respect that. However, still being completely sincere, I do think Statlander is one of the best women's wrestlers that AEW has. And I would very much like to see her go after the AEW women's title. However, let me ask you a question. And again, I'm being totally serious, because I think at the last scrum, it was talked about, or at least at some like AEW event or something. There was like, oh, are we ever going to get like AEW women's tag titles? And my immediate reaction was no.
Please
I don't
no.
want it because, yeah, like
Oh
AEW doesn't
God.
know how to book their women, this and that. But I will say, if Tony's going to do it because he panders and he likes to flaunt his ostentatious wealth with his own fucking wrestling company, I do think Willow and Chris would make fine fucking. This is again a fun tag team. I enjoyed this tag team match, and then the dancing after the match by Willow and Chris kind of being into it, and then Stokely cutting in to raise Statlander's hand. Honestly,
Bro, Stokely
what
being thirsty is such a mood.
dude, first of all, yes, just with my whole body, yes. Second of all, I think the contours that I would like this story to take, rather than the classic, like, oh, the heel was right, he got in my ear long enough, and I don't need you and you're a
I
loser.
will
They should
say
keep pushing
something
him.
that we should probably address is that very, very recently, as in like on World's End, like at World's End, Willow beat Chris one on one.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, beat her
That's
straight
interesting.
up. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to rescind what I was about to say. I'm glad you cut in though with that vital information, because what I was gonna say was I would appreciate if we go a more unconventional route, because normally we've seen stories like this before, right? And normally it's like the heel, voice or whatever, whether a manager or fellow wrestler or whatever, burrows enough into the brain of the babyface, and then they turn heel. It was kind of like Chavo with Eddie before Eddie turned on Ray. It's like, oh, are you gonna let Ray do that to our family? I'm a fucking man, Chavo. I'm about to fucking brainbuster him on some steel steps. Fuck this dude. Um, but here I would like if Statlander just kept swatting it away, and Stokely just kind of worms his way into like just managing the tag team and just really playing the long game. Like, it shouldn't come that easily for him. I would like these two to stay as a team for a while, but with Willow beating Chris and now Stokely kind of, starting the drama and also having the best Twitter game in the game, have to wonder where this is gonna go. But
You know,
yeah, I love
I could see it
yeah.
going two interesting ways. So the first one is literally like chalk. It's like, you know, exactly what you would expect, which is Statlander betrays Willow. We get a heel Statlander managed by Stokely and a super sympathetic babyface Willow. And I think that they are both going to be amazing in those roles if that is the route that AEW goes. Another hilarious option, though, would be Willow getting jealous of how into Stokely is and turning on her and trying to appeal to Stokely like, I'm the one you want. I'm the one.
Whoa.
I'm the one that won the match at World's End. I'm the one that's thicker. I'm the one that everything you're talking about that you think that she has, I actually have. I'm the better wrestler. Like everything. And Soki just be like, okay.
I just love how blase and casual that okay is. Like fucking Willow out here being like, I ate the Snickers. This is me, and I'm thicker than the Snickers. Like, all right, fucking win that
It would
championship.
be hilarious, and that is the kind of swerve that works for me in wrestling personally.
You know what, man? I think there's merit to what you're saying. I really do. I think there's exciting possibility here.
Well, because
Again,
just logically, why would Stokely be out here trying to recruit Statlander when she just fucking lost the big match at World's End? I don't get it.
yeah, yeah.
Unless he just has the hots for her, which he very well might. And honestly, who can blame him?
I mean, he's a tall king. She's fucking amazing. Like, what's not to love?
She's a
But
tall queen.
exactly, like oh, Foster. I love him. Um, yeah, I will say as one last serious note, like this whole segment is a snapshot to me. And this isn't to bring the energy down because I've had a great time talking about this segment with you and our chat. But it's a snapshot to me of what does frustrate me because it really is just Tony and the booking because the women's division in of itself has all the parts they need. It is such a talented division, becoming even more so with Mariah May debuting, and I know Deonna Purrazzo has her fans, so I'm not gonna shortchange her either, and potentially, very potentially, Mercedes Moné coming in.
Actually, as
So,
early as
like
this coming Wednesday.
exactly, so, like, you have the parts. Get your fucking shit together. Because like, even these 2 and so, like, this is great, and this is an undercard storyline because not everything needs to revolve around the championship or championships or however many fucking titles you got going on. Because AEW might add more in the future. We don't know. That seems to be the big mistake of wrestling companies these days. Um, but yeah, I really love this. I fucking love Stokely. I can't get him on my TV enough. And Willow and Chris both. Again, if I'm being totally serious after having my fun, they're both really great, and I'm really excited for both of them in the new year. See what they can do. Um, the only other thing of Rampage, well, we won't talk about a negative thing and get into that a little bit. Hikaru Shida did beat Anna Jay, but it was very competitive, and they had a whole spot where I think the ref counted wrong or did a false count. It seemed like Anna Jay beat Hikaru Shida, but then it was like, no, she kicked out, and then commentary really tried to put Anna Jay over. But to me, like,
Fumble.
big fumble, and I'll tell you why. Not just because it's Anna Jay and stuff, like, that's all very straightforward and obvious, but because you could very clearly tell that was a botch. And so, like, this whole putting Anna Jay over thing after really put a match, like, it wasn't earned to me. Because, like, the match itself didn't really come off too well. Like, obviously, Sheeta's great. I'll tell you something about Sheeta, man. The more I see her in AEW, the more I wish I would just see her back in Japan, like anywhere, or even just Sukeban or something. Like, I wish she would just go and be able to wrestle other people and really be able to let loose because I'm starting to feel like, especially with AEW's perception of her, that she's a bit limited in that company. And I just feel like Sheeta is a far better worker than what AEW is utilizing her
I
for.
mean,
And I'd like
even
to see her
even
really be able
just
to
in
fly.
AEW, it would be nice to see her have actual good matches against women of similar talent. Put her against Willow. Put her against Sheeta. Or I'm sorry, against Stat. Put her against I don't know Athena in Ring of Honor. Like let her have good fucking matches. Stop having her be the girl that tries to help other less experienced girls improve. Like let her actually
Yeah.
book, please.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great if they'd ever allow her to do that, but I'm thinking the answer is gonna be no, and, that just makes me sad. So, that's kinda where I'm at with that whole thing. The only other thing would be Yuta and Komander for the, Pure Championship. Not bad what I saw. I just feels like Yuta's kinda hit a wall for me. I mean, God, he had one of the best segments in AEW's history to me with his initiation into Bullet Club after that match with Moxley, and to go from that to just feeling like another guy. Just, and I'm not saying, that's entirely AEW's fault, maybe Yuta just wasn't meant to be that guy. Maybe he just doesn't have the charisma or whatever, but it's just kinda surprising to see him in this spot just still with the Pure Championship, just kinda circling the drain to me. Again, not a bad match, nothing really wrong with it, but I'm just looking at Yuta's future and I'm like, this might just be his ceiling. Do you have any thoughts about this?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I guess that's it for me as
I'll
far
do
as
my
Rampage
bag
goes.
fumble list then. So a lot
Sure.
of my Rampage bag fumbles were just Tony deciding to feature shit on TV. So let me just list
Yeah.
all of my bag fumbles that are just so and so on TV that shouldn't be on TV. Jericho, Anna Jay, Matt Menard, Jake Hager, Angelo Parker, Harley Cameron, the Hardy Boys. You're welcome, Tony. I gave you 2 for 1 so that this actually shorted you by 1 fumble. Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. That's 8 right there. Boom.
Yeah. Why is Karen Jarrett still being on fucking well, Jeff Jarrett too, mind you, but I mean, at least he has history in the fucking business.
Dude,
Why would anybody feel like, let's get Karen Jarrett on the camera in 2023? Jesus
dude,
Christ.
did you see? Have you been watching the videos that Soraya has been putting up that are the "I'm a Female Wrestler" series?
Oh God, no! Please don't tell me anymore. This sounds so bad. Is it as
No,
bad as I feel
it's
like it
not.
is?
No, basically, so like in episode one, it was basically like Soraya and a few of the other women in AEW's locker room talking about some of the tribulations of being a female wrestler.
Right.
Like just the hate that they get online and shit like that. And then the second
Yeah.
episode came out, and I think someone mentioned the unwanted. It was Queen Aminata mentioned the unwanted dick pics. I forget who it was that mentioned that they don't feel safe because of people like waiting for them at airports. It's like I said, it's just like bringing to light the issues that women's wrestlers face, and it's actually
Oh,
really
that's good
cool,
then.
right?
Yeah, that's good then. Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
but
I don't
there's
know.
always a fucking drawback to this shit. The second episode that just came out today featured Karen Jarrett saying, "I'm not a female wrestler, but I could still whip all these bitches' asses." For what reason?
I don't
For what
know.
fucking reason, Soraya? Since you're the one running this fucking thing, since this is your brainchild, for what fucking reason did that need to be in there?
I don't know. See, like, way to fumble your own bag, Soraya. Jesus Christ, because you're doing something, and at first, like, yeah, it's like if you're having these serious conversations, like that could be really momentous for the industry,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go and you do that, you kill it
Yeah.
before it ever even really gets started.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, like there
Okay.
was even one that kind of stuck with me on today's that was Sky Blue, who said, "I'm a female wrestler, and most people wouldn't even recognize me if I wore pants."
Oof.
Yeah, like that, like that's like it hits at your gut, right? Because it's like, yeah, like a lot of men don't know her for who she is or for even her for her face. They know her for her ass, and
Yeah.
that's gross. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, like there were some really salient things said in these videos, but then you've got Karen Jarrett coming in and just burying everyone for no reason other than to be a heel, I guess, because clearly that's where this is an appropriate medium for that to be a thing.
Karen and I just looked at everything, so it's like, wow, we're talking about unwanted sexual harassment, dick pits, and objectification. Time for me to kayfabe the shit out of this. Like, what the fuck? Read the fucking room. God. I'm not rubbing my temples counterclockwise, but I really, really should be. Anything else you want to talk about from Rampage?
The rest of my bag fumbles continuing to use Sammy Guevara, who has a literal infant at home. Give this man a fucking paternity leave, you greedy billionaire fuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anna Jay being booked to wrestle on TV, Anna Jay being allowed to look competitive with Hikaru Shida, and finally, Jeff Jarrett shouting at and chewing out Jay Lethal. Bad optics, racism.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So that's my
Um,
Rampage fumble tally. It was 14.
all right, let's get the fuck out of here. And let's get finally to stuff that I fully watched bell to bell this week. Okay, well that's kind of a lie because I did miss the first like 5 minutes probably of Dynamite. So I missed the start of the Kingdoms promo, but I actually watched the YouTube clip that like showed the whole segment because we do open with the Undisputed Kingdom. I'm actually gonna throw the ball to you, man, because I also want to be more conversational, get more
Cool.
into that face.
Nice.
But yeah, like we saw some complaints in the Discord. I think mainly Cliff had this complaint. Shout out to Cliff. Hope he's doing well. That it's like I love Adam Cole, talented guy, and I know like he's injured, and it's not even about like managing. I think that's a separate thing, and I think you've already made a salient rebuke of that. That I completely agree. Like he's not healthy. Of course, he's going to manage and be a mouthpiece. Whereas WWE, he was healthy, and it's like, hey, manage Keith Lee. I guess the bigger complaint that I think Cliff wanted to eliminate is you're part of yet another big group. Like, why is it always Adam Cole and a big group? Have you gotten tedious with that, or do you just feel like you like how this is all coming together for Cole? I do like that Wardlow's in this group. I think that's interesting.
No,
And again, I've already told you that I miss O'Reilly, but how are you feeling about Undisputed Kingdom?
imagine Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe in a scenario where Adam Cole doesn't have backup to help him.
All right. Well, I think that point was forcefully made. Jesus. No, I
No, but seriously,
definitely.
like
Yeah.
that's the reason why. Because Adam Cole is obviously a very talented guy. He's a great talker. He's a very talented wrestler, but he's not believable against Samoa Joe sized men. You know what I mean? Like no one's
Yeah.
gonna buy it. That's why like you can't have him be like a believable babyface unless he's like this scrappy underdog, and even then, he's not going to win very much as that either. He's not gonna, he's like a phoenix, like where you know he might win the title once and hold it for a very small amount of time, but he's dropping it real quick because that's how underdogs work. But as a heel, he can get back up. He can cheat. He has a whole bunch of different ways that he can win without needing for it to look unbelievable.
Yeah. Foster did correct me there. Apparently, Cole's come out and said they never asked him to manage Keith Lee. Fair enough. Because I know those rumors were quite rampant at the time. But yeah, I mean, I definitely get your point, man. That look, Cole, is he devastatingly handsome? Yes. Does he have the most impeccable jawline in professional wrestling? God, yes. But that doesn't win world championships, you know? And like, given some of the hosses in AEW, yeah, I'd want a Roderick Strong in my corner and a Kingdom and certainly a Wardlow.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. Um, Most interesting thing to me about this promo because, he said all the usual fare, like, "Oh, I'm the reason MJF got over," which isn't entirely untrue. Like, I feel like MJF really started to get the best positive reactions with this storyline with Cole.
Yep.
Um, "I'm the reason he was so successful," like, all the usual talking points when a betrayal occurs. Most interesting thing to me was when he was running down the roster of Undisputed Kingdom and what their aspirations were. Roddy's gonna go after Orange Cassidy, International Championship. Um, Taven and Bennett, they're already Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. They may want to become AEW Tag Team Champions. Who's to say? But then the big thing was Wardlow's gonna go after the AEW World Title. So first of all, Wardlow versus Joe. That's just exciting to me as a singles matchup. We know they kind of feuded like a little bit for the TNT and ROH World Television title. They had those interactions in the past. But then Cole says, and when I heal up, Wardlow's gonna do the right thing, and he's gonna forfeit the AEW World Title to me. And here's the thing: Wardlow didn't shy. Either he has the best poker face I've ever seen, or he was just like, "Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do," because he didn't like his
No, see, I think you're
betray
reading
him.
that wrong. He rolled his eyes, bro. He was like, "Yeah, okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
I
Okay."
I was, maybe I didn't look hard enough because I didn't see him roll his eyes. He was just kind of smart, like, "Yeah, yeah." But I don't know. Maybe he's like, "Well, we'll see about that. We'll cross that bridge when
Yeah,
we come to it."
that's
Yeah,
the reaction that I read. It looked to me like it was very much like yeah, okay, bud. We'll see how that
yeah.
works out for you. That's the kind of vibe that I got from Wardlow's reaction there.
Because here's the thing, like, and Cole even kind of said this, but he didn't dwell enough on this line. He knows for a fact that the Undisputed Kingdom is bound together by their hatred of MJF.
Yeah.
Here's the big thing though. Cole has a rich history with Taven, Bennett, and obviously Roddy. Wardlow's only there because they hate MJF. Now that he's taken out, he'll stay with this group because it's good to run in a pack in pro wrestling just in general. But the moment he wins that world title, you really think, Adam, see, this is why, like, I love Cole to death, but I'm begging you to think because I
See,
can't
this is
keep
what I
defending
love
you.
though. This is what I
Yeah,
love about this storyline in particular and why this does not have any bag fumbles for me. I think this is brilliant
yeah,
because Adam Cole has backup. Adam Cole has, at the very least, three very loyal friends that he knows will back him up anytime that he wants in Roddy, Taven, and Bennett. And Wardlow now has backup for as long as he is loyal to Adam. So in Adam's mind, he has these four guys. Wardlow could win the title with their backup, and then Adam can force Wardlow to give him the title. And if Wardlow decides he doesn't want to, he still has three guys backing him up to take that title from him.
yeah,
In
yeah.
Wardlow's mind, he is going to use this faction to get the world title. And then when Adam asks him to give it back, he's just not going to do it and figure it out from there. He is going to fight everyone. He is going to try and go through that entire four-man group because he's fucking Wardlow and he thinks he can.
Adam's gonna go for the pin. Wardlow's gonna kick out at 1 when that match
And it's gonna
happens.
be like when the Big Show kicked out of a Rey Mysterio pin. He's gonna throw Adam halfway across the ring.
Adam's gonna do the complex look that he does, and then he's gonna say to Wardlow,
You
barely
son of a
audible.
bitch.
Then he's gonna say to Wardlow, barely audible for the rest of us to hear, "Do you wanna do that spot over again differently, maybe?" And Wardlow's gonna be like, "No."
Wow.
Oh, God. Look, I adore Adam Cole so much, but he really did not think this through. But no, I'm excited, and we already kind of talked about connecting it with Collision. You know, just the idea that Bullet Club Gold to get laid out. My man Jay White, man, and God, if I'm feeling it, I know DBK is feeling it. It's like, God damn it, can this dude just get something? Because he, just talks about, I admire the plan, and I too hate MJF, but I don't like that you made me kind of a part of it in terms of like one of your victims. And so he's like, "Oh, I brought back up," and now look, let's have a serious conversation, everybody, with old Papa John here. Um, when you're staring down a faction that has a lot of meat, and really just Wardlow alone, who we've been talking about, a beefy boy, right, and very capable in-ring veterans, been in the business forever. And you're like, "We're gonna take it to you tonight because I'm not alone." The Gun Club isn't the statement you think it is. Because when I see those two following behind, like, yeah, let's get them. I'm like, the lambs are just fucking joyously going to slaughter. And that's what I mean, they got laid out. So yeah, you need the acclaim. Because if you're only thinking like Bart, Colton, or Austin, Colton, you've got this, right? Bard Gun actually, I think was like a shoot badass potentially. But yeah, Austin Colton, you got this,
Bart
right?
Gunn
And they
was the guy that won Brawl for All back in the 90s.
oh, well, at least he had a fan in Vince Russo, I guess. But yeah, Austin, Colton, you got this, right? And they're just like, yeah, just really have a think about it, okay? Just really think about it. Um, so that happened, and then I know because that was back on Wednesday, so I can't remember everything sequentially. I really did like most of the stuff on the show. What happened after this segment? Because I just want to see if it's worth talking about or not
Well,
for
I
us.
mean, I did want to talk about the fact that Bullet Club Gold, like, so you just made some very salient points, and I just want to really lean into that because Jay White's supposed to be the smart one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Jay White is supposed to be like this cerebral wrestler, and even if Bullet Club Gold were like, you know, upper mid carders, you still just ran into a 3-on-4 situation on purpose. What are you doing?
And I just got to cut in here because like Super Blue. That's kind of the point, though. Like, Wardlow is with the Undisputed Kingdom. Of course, he's going to jump in. It's not like he just came in randomly. He wasn't a part of the original segment, and then all of a sudden he is. He's part of the faction.
Yeah,
So you have to factor him
he's
in.
one
So
of
when
the
you're like,
four that you're going up against as the three.
so yeah, when you're like, no, they didn't. They were getting the upper hand until Wardlow jumped in. I'm just sitting here like, yeah, and like he
So
was
you mean
always
to tell me
going
they
to.
were getting the upper hand until the other team was complete?
The way you said complete tickled me. That was great. Until this faction reached their final form. Yeah, no, it's yeah, of course it was gonna happen. So like I don't see what the issue is, Super Blue. God, I can't wait to get to SmackDown when we talk about LA Knight because it's gonna be all over that shit. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Jay White should be the smart one and
Yeah.
Gun
So,
Club.
yeah.
So
So that was foolish. And then I also don't like that when the acclaim showed up, even though the Undisputed Kingdom had already basically neutralized Bullet Club Gold, they still ran away. Why run away from the acclaimed and Billy Gunn? It's the acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Beat their asses too.
yeah.
This is supposed to be the hot new heel faction, and they're already being booked like cowards?
Oh, another chicken shit heel group. What the fuck?
And then they literally hid behind the doctor, Doc Samson, and he was like, nope, nope, you can't. He's not cleared. What the
Bro,
fuck
this is
is this garbage?
Bro, this is where like pro wrestling could do itself a great service by lifting more from television, particularly like that premier television shit. Because like a lot of good villains on TV that are
Yeah.
effective with or without a group, and it's like, maybe lift some things from there. Like, I would like just one successful sociopathic heel in pro wrestling. It's like not a chicken shit, but just very legitimately calculative, like a real cerebral assassin, unlike Hunter. Um, but instead it's like, oh no, their numbers are bigger than our numbers, but thank God for the invisible barrier between the ropes and this barricade. Let's go over there where it's safe. And it's like, we're really doing this again. I am old. Give me something new. I've seen this so many times already. Fuck. But
I don't
but
know.
yeah.
It's weird. Part of me wants to see, and I feel like Jay White could have been this because he's supposed to be like this cerebral character who's like gonna outsmart people. I would have loved it if they would have like manipulated the Undisputed Kingdom's emotions to single one of them out to make it more even. To be like, oh, like maybe talk shit about Mike and his wife and how she cucked him in WWE or something, and really just get him angry and emotional and get him to like leave the ring and come down to them and get 3-on-1 beat down so that it's more of an even 3-on-3 then go down and do it. But nah, they just ran into the 3v4.
I know you're not even trying to be funny, but the things you're saying and the points you're making are just making me think of absurd scenarios where they're just like goading Mike, and Mike's just like, "Oh, don't make me come down there," and then they're like, "Oh, we want you to come down here," and then he does, and they just beat his ass.
That's what I'm saying though. Like I want more smart writing in wrestling, and Tony Khan is incapable of giving it to me.
He really, God, he really is. So do you have anything else you want to say about this?
No.
All right, what came after this, bud? If it's worth talking about, that is.
I think it was Mariah May. Oh no, it was uh Orange Cassidy versus Dante Martin.
That okay, yeah, okay. And then I think Mariah came after that.
Yeah, there
Um,
were some talking segments, but then yeah.
yeah, not really much to say about this, man. Like I said in the Discord and the live wrestling discussion, which I love being a part of, and I want to thank people like Foster, Cliff, Sean, all those people for being in it with me because always so cool talking to you guys. Um, I think for me, Orange Cassidy is a solid worker, but I just feel like I love a gimmick change. I feel like I'm over the gimmick. I'm over all that because, like, you're making him more of a serious wrestler. If he was still doing comedy wrestling, like a Colt Cabana or something like that, I think you'd get a lot more utility out of it. It might still not be my thing, but I get it. But here you are, you're having him like beat John Moxley. You're having him like be this workhorse champion. You were in his last international title reign. You're repeating that again here, and like doing all this thing. Like I just personally don't see it. I do still feel like he's a fair amount of over. I do feel like he's cooled down a little bit, but he's still over. It'd be obnoxious of me to say anything to the contrary. But I just feel like, you're trying to sell me in my mind, AEW is trying to sell me on him as a main event guy, and I just don't see it with that gimmick. And to be honest, like the in ring is good enough, I guess. I don't even necessarily feel like he's a main event worker personally. And Dante, I mean, great stuff, but I'm just waiting to see like, I know he's in that tag team, top flight, but if they ever do want to make him a singles guy, does he have the personality to go with it? Because he does really amazing things in the ring, but is that it? So solid enough matchup. Cassidy retains after the orange punch, which that's actually nice to see that move win a match. I feel like I've been seeing that move get kicked out of more lately. But yeah, nothing really too much to say. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
So after the match, the best friends got into the ring with OC, and then Darius Martin and Action Andretti got into the ring with Dante, and we had a big old love fest where they all shook hands. But then guess whose music hit, John?
Private fucking party,
Mark
baby.
Quinn is back finally, and he's been putting the tag division on notice that they've been missing the private party. And that,
Yes.
yeah, that includes everyone in the ring, FTR, the Hardys, the Young Bucks, etc. And I'm stoked about this. I'm looking forward to our first private party match of the new year. I'm looking forward to it a lot. Actually, I love these guys. These were one of like the first acts when we first started watching AEW back in 2019. This is one of the first original acts to AEW that got me excited about this company.
You and me both. I mean, I'd say I'm Stokely about it, but I mean, he's not representing them, unfortunately, which who knows if that'll change this year. But it is great to see them back in the tag division, and I do hope they win AEW Tag Gold this year. I think they'd be a great, face of the division. and really take that division up a few levels. So good to see them back.
Then
Did
we
we
got
want to talk about the
Tony
talking segments?
Tony
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Storm literally basically just said that Mariah May has to pay her dues by wrestling in New Jersey. Ooh.
God, that was the one thing I agreed with all the hills on. Oh my God, New Jersey. What a dump. I'm so glad I'm out of there and in the far more cultured state with breathable air known as New Hampshire that doesn't smell like a fucking toilet. So yeah, that's what I think of New Jersey. Fuck your Garden State. So then yeah, Mariah faced Queen Aminata.
Solid
I
match. I enjoyed it. Mariah got to lay in some really stiff chops and drop kicks that had the internet ablaze, and she won.
Bro, she has one of the best drop kicks in the business right now. Like just that one, where I think it was like on a knee or
Yeah,
might have even just been sitting.
the flat back drop kick. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Just
You
absolutely
wait till
fucking
she
amazing.
pulls out her first Mariah missile, man.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Obviously, you and I and many others, don't get me wrong. But you and I having a podcast and talking about wrestling, we're in a very privileged position because we are very familiar with Mariah because we saw all of her stardom run. And I did actually very pleases me very much to say all of her stardom run because we saw her when she debuted up until her last match. So we know how good she is. I will say my only nitpick. I am hoping she gets a new finisher down the line in AEW. I do not care for that Mayday kind of Samoan driver finisher. As I mentioned in live wrestling discussion, I think when this show was happening, Lyra Valkyria already kind of does a Samoan driver type finish. She actually beat Blair Davenport with that on NXT this week, which we'll talk about a bit later. And I thought that looked fine, but that move is clearly like kind of popular right now. Love when Santos does it as the Phantom Driver. Then again, that's Daddy Santos. I prefer Mariah's Tombstone, but as you saliently pointed out, potentially, um, when she faces bigger opponents, like when she faces a Tony Storm, which is inevitably going to happen, or a Soraya or a Chris Statlander, then the happily ever after Tombstone may come out. Here, because Queen Aminata is not really like a prominent face in the division, maybe this Mayday maneuver was sufficient. So we'll see. And maybe too, it'll grow on me. Keep in mind, guys, if I had it my way, Mariah May would still be in stardom. So it might just be an adjustment period for me. But other than that, I love this. I think she looked great, came off great. Aminata herself came off really solid. I'd like to see more of her actually. And yeah, I've got really nothing else to say before we get to post match stuff. Did you have anything else you want to say about the match itself?
I do not.
Then Mariah starts to talk, says that she knows she has the support of Tony Storm even though she couldn't be here, and that her only regret was that she wrestled in New Jersey. To which I will apologize on behalf of New Jersey, having once lived there. I know we all make mistakes. That I am sorry too, Mariah, that you had to wrestle there. It was so unbecoming of them to be in your presence like this, and might I say on Tony Khan's part, very uncouth to host a whole AEW show in a New Jersey venue. But it
Can
can't
I
be
just
helped.
say, I just really have to double down on this. How fucking dare they?
You're so right. You're so right. I mean, what else is there to say? Um, and then Deonna Purrazzo comes out.
I just really have to double down because you're saying this like she sucks. We don't think Deonna Purrazzo sucks. We just think she sucks on the mic, is all.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen enough of her wrestling. Granted, I haven't seen Purrazzo wrestle in a minute, but yeah, she's a great worker. But as a talker, ugh. And then also why I kind of side is because, of course, she's going to defend New Jersey being from there. And as Ashton and I talked about, particularly in our Rocket League discussion, which if we keep cooking on those Rocket League discussions, we might want to think about like, I don't know, Twitch streaming them again down the road. I don't know. 'Cause we really had a good one about Dynamite when it happened on Wednesday. But just the idea of like these debuts, and even Mariah mentioned it, like in her exclusive kind of backstage promo that AEW kind of uploaded. This debut, it's like you're kind of overshadowing Mariah in a way, or at least you're, I guess, trying to. Or I think in AEW's mind, like I told you in our conversation, they were trying to flex, like, oh, see how promising our women's division is going to be in the new year. Look at all these talents we've got. And it's like, well, just space them out a bit,
Yep.
let each act breathe on their own terms. Um, and then you're gonna have to help me here because what exactly did Deanna say? Because I think I had some stream problems here. Because I know the line that Mariah ended with before Deanna just decided to take things to a physical place.
Oh yeah.
What exactly
So
was the verbal
Mariah
interaction?
said, I'm not a messenger. Tell yourself, bitch.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, so I guess essentially Deanna wanted Mariah to give her a message from Tony Storm, or, to Tony Storm, give Tony Storm a message from Deanna, and then that's when Mariah clapped back with that. But then Deanna kicked her out of the ring, and so she kind of stood tall there. Again, women's division's looking great. Has all the parts they need. You just need the fucking booking and the right attitude, and I just feel like Tony is severely lacking in both, just from where I sit. So it's kind of a problem. Um, what came after this?
So we got, let's see. Well, there was the Christian segment with Mama Wayne, Nick Wayne, and Killswitch, and yeah, the whole that whole thing, that whole thing. There was a lot.
Do, do you want to talk about our father, the father of professional wrestling? I feel like your face is really good at it. Do you want to just talk about how great he was this week?
I will say I did have one singular bag fumble in this segment, and that was giving Mama Wayne mic time.
I agree, because here's the thing. Again, in our conversation, I feel like I'm just pulling a lot from that because I knew I would probably just say it again, in the proper commentary. When she talked the first time, I understood it because it was after she cost Copeland, and everybody wants an explanation, whatever. And I thought for what she said, even though the content was very simple, her delivery was fine. And unlike Charlotte and Ronda, who, given what they get fucking paid, shouldn't crumble under crowd pressure, she took all the boos like a champ. And to be fair to her again, she did that again in this promo. However, again, we see you, AEW. Ash and I, we've been watching wrestling a long time in our chat. You put all of our knowledge cumulatively, we know everything, practically. I know what they're trying to do. You know what they're trying to do. They want her to be a Vicky Guerrero type because she's all like, oh, you boo me? You boo a mother? Like, they want that to be the excuse me for her. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like, I don't even like that she's particularly like a character in this faction in a way. Because again, it's like, what's the payoff? Now, she didn't get involved in the Copeland matchup, and that's fine. If she doesn't get physically involved, then maybe I'm not going to be worried so much about payoffs. But if you integrate her even further and have her like helping Copeland win, as she did with the initial like matchup that really kicked all this off, then you ask, well, if she's a character in this, like, is she gonna have a comeuppance? And you're just gonna run into a lot of problems that we've seen before in other wrestling promotions. Do not do this, but it seems like they're already doing it, so it's wasted breath. So yeah,
Sure does.
I definitely ultimately agree with you about that being a bag fumble, just because they're not looking as far as you and I would look or anybody in our chat would
Yeah.
look about this.
I even gave
But
her credit while you and I were having our Rocket League discussion. I don't like that she's getting mic time, but if I'm forced to accept that she's getting mic time in a vacuum, I thought she did a good job with the mic time. And I know you mentioned keeping her cool under the booze. I want to give her credit for being just a good actress. I think she's surprisingly good at acting already. Like I almost have to wonder if like she's like a failed actor. Like she tried acting at one point, it didn't work out, so now she's just like a mom, or maybe she is an actress and we just don't know. Like I don't know, man. She was good at it, is what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. And while we're talking about the Waynes, I just have to point out just my only really kind of petty thing. I realized part of why I don't like Nick Wayne, it's entirely a John problem, and I told this to you in our conversation. He's got Osprey face for me. Just something about when he smiles, and it works for him because he's a heel and he's supposed to be smug. But when he smiles, it's like, oh my god, this smug fuck.
Yep.
And that's the reaction he should be getting. So I guess I'm getting worked. So I congratulations, your face is doing better at like provoking emotions than your mic work does, kid. Just keep that face. Um, but then we come to the piece de resistance, Christian, Christian Cage, the patriarch. What'd you think about his promo this week?
I mean, this week, John, his promos are always the best thing to happen on whatever show he's on.
That's so right. Like he is about everything. Um, so he pretty much wants to put Adam Copeland in the rear view. Says, look, I beat you. I proved to you and everybody what I've been saying for years, that I'm better than you. And you got to earn your spot again. Like you go to the back of the line. It's done. No more title shots. You want another shot at me, you got to earn it. Which is again what led to to Collision and the Cope Invitational, whatever the fuck. So he's taking those words to heart. But then Christian, kind of just runs down the roll call of everybody to thank, and he thanks Mama Wayne, thanks Nick Wayne, and the crowd is already doing Luchasaurus chants because they're waiting for it. They're waiting for Christian to just acknowledge that this dude fucking exists as he's literally standing behind Christian. And he said, and lastly, I want to thank the person that made this all possible. The person that drove the final nail in the coffin and secured the TNT championship in this family.
Myself.
Myself. And when I tell you people, I I thirst a lot. But I felt like I was in the Sahara in that moment, and I was just aching to quench that thirst with this man. Uh, perfection. Perfection. To completely treat like shit the one person actually this possible. I told you, Ashton. I think I'm almost gonna quote myself verbatim, and you can co-sign on this. I told you my insecurity. It's a little nub right now, but by the end of the year, it'll probably grow into a full, mighty, complex tree. It is my dream to one day achieve the status of douche prime. I cannot achieve the status of douche prime so long as Christian Cage is in the way. This man makes douchiness a fucking art form. I am in awe of this man. I don't know how he does it so effortlessly, and it's just I admire it. I admire it deeply. I like way to bring back just being a piece of shit. I feel like it went out of vogue for a little bit, and Christian brought it back. We are so back. We are so fucking back. And they start chanting up Luchasaurus again, and Christian still doesn't even like look at him. He actually did look at him though when he said myself, which I mean the eye contact, perfection. Um, but then he says, shut your mouths. He's not Luchasaurus. His name is Kill Switch, and so like again, just reminding people like, my property, part of my faction. What are you people trying to do? And he's definitely pushing um Kill Switch's buttons. And Christian doesn't even acknowledge him when he says, like, "Look, I'm gonna be the most dominant TNT champion ever." And then when I'm done with it, won't go to Kill Switch then, because no, then he's gonna give it to his progeny, fucking Nick Wayne, because he's his father now. And so yeah, the whole segment was great. I love Christian so much. Hey AEW, here's some advice. Why don't you just have Stokely and Christian co-host Dynamite together? And then, you can trim a lot of the fat that you did on this episode and just kick Jericho out, kick Sammy out, kick the Bucks out, and just really thin that roster. And then maybe you'd have something that I'd watch every week if I knew that
You know,
Stokely and Christian were just reacting to all of it.
I gotta tell you, man, I normally one singular suggestion isn't really enough to make all that huge of an improvement for most pro wrestling companies. But this, I mean, this one, we could very well be looking at about an 800% improvement on a weekly basis.
I mean, God, at that point, it's almost in competition with your face for just sheer excellence.
No,
Um,
no, it isn't. But thanks anyway.
so what came after this?
Uh,
Was it Darby Takeshita by any chance? Because
well,
I
we,
feel
we
like,
did get a Soraya Ruby Soho Harley Cameron thing, and Harley
dude, this
Cameron
was
continuing to get featured as another bag fumble. But after this was Konosuke versus Darby, yes.
I am so sorry because I'm dying to talk about Konosuke and Darby because this was one of my favorite things of the whole week. Oh, I'm so sorry everybody because I know again I'm trying not to be too negative, but Harley Cameron, what the fuck is that? What are they
The thing is,
doing?
she's
I don't
cute
get it.
too. I think she's adorable. I love her accent, but like, why is she here?
I'm just gonna be viscerally honest. The
Remember when
character
she
that she's
performed on NXT and we literally were just like, who?
yeah,
And they tried to
actually I
pass it
don't.
off like she was a celebrity and she didn't have any following at all.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
hilarious.
Like the character that she's trying to portray, like, oh, I do anything for you. So again, like another obsessive thing. Like, aren't you already kind of duplicating that in a way with
Yeah.
Mariah? Like,
Oh
I just
wow, Harley Cameron is actually just biting Mariah May, only worse.
and but see to me, and again, like you said, only worse. So I'm pretty much what you're saying, but I'm taking the scenic route. seeing Harley Cameron do it, I genuinely cringe, dude. Like this was the big cringe moment for me on the show because there's a difference between being like annoyed or even angry, and then there's just cringe. And that's what this segment did. So I just wanted to pause and just say that very quickly. I viscerally, my whole body rejected this and wanted to go somewhere safe. Mainly a diner where I'm just having cheese and onion sandwiches with superior bowl. Like that'll ever
Nice.
happen, but we have our dreams, I suppose. So Takeshita, Darby, even though I love this, I do want to be quick about it because we have three other shows to also talk about. It was a very productive week, especially when both people actually watched the shows because I was the one severely slacking last year just because I was just so done with pro wrestling. And I'm like, no, new year, new me,
Hey,
right? Let's do the fucking
you
thing.
stop that right now. I was slacking as much as you, if not more.
But I really did put my best foot forward this week. But I do think, oh my god, it's almost one, so we could pick up the pace a little bit. Really fun matchup. I fucking love Takeshita. I think the dude's a fucking beast. I love that he like in a way, it almost looks like he's bulked up to me, and I'm not saying like he hasn't. Like this is just my first time seeing him in a long time, so I feel like he used to be like a bit skinnier, a bit smaller before, especially when he was a babyface. As a heel, I feel like he kind of bulked up a bit, and it fucking works. And him doing that fucking power offense, God damn it. I'll say this. Look, I hate Darby Allen, but him being a ragdoll and taking the ragdoll spots actually really works here for me. It really worked here for me in this match. I did think some of them were senseless. Like, why are you doing rolling Germans like on the ramp? Like, do you really need to hurt your body that bad? But I'm not going to complain because it's Darby taking the spot, Takeshita delivering it. I really like Takeshita. So,
Hmm.
if you want to do it, Darby, in this case, I'm not going to stop you. My favorite spot in this match by far, to the point where it actually was an early candidate for my spot of the year. Darby goes for a low pay at one point, and Takeshita intercepts it impeccably with a knee strike. Beautiful
Woohoo!
visual. Beautiful fucking visual. He also does an avalanche German at one point that I thought looked gorgeous, and I also added that to the list. And ultimately, thankfully, Takeshita does win the match. There was a bit of a hope spot there for Darby where Takeshita missed a big knee strike, and I thought Darby would either win by countout or maybe just taking himself out. Didn't happen. He still wins. Big knee strike to get the winning pinfall. I thought that was fucking great. So yeah, Takeshita gets the win. And then they kind of fumbled the bag partially for me, because, and again, thank you, Javaris, for the phrase, because now I'm using it. It's just everybody's using it now. Don Callis talks about how Takeshita and I guess maybe Hobbs would be teaming with him are gonna go after Darby and Sting, and I'm just like, but you dominated him though. Like, move on to the next thing, like move on to Orange Cassidy or some shit. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, that was my only nitpick there, but I really enjoyed this matchup. Do you have anything you want to say about this match?
No, man, this was definitely something that you appreciated more than me, so I think we can just move on at this point.
Excellent, excellent.
And the next thing was the Continental Crown Eliminator Fatal 4-Way match. Vikingo, Cage, Trent, Keith. We kind of already talked about this being a bag fumble because of Trent pinning Brian Keith after Keith got a fucking jobber entrance. Jesus Christ. I don't remember a ton from this match, but I do know that somebody went through a table, and that was what led to Trent and Brian Keith being the only two guys left in the ring to be the finish. I don't remember who
Yeah,
put who. I'm guessing Cage put Vikingo through the table, but I don't remember for sure.
right. Um, all right. Then what came after this? Because like you said, we already kind of touched on this earlier, so we can just
Oh yeah, so this
keep.
was when the worst thing on the entire show started. This is when it we got like the prologue to the worst thing on the entire show. Because Renee was backstage with Matt Menard, but they got interrupted by a really angry Hangman Page, who said he was here to. He doesn't care if it's Cole, Joe, or even Menard, who was right there. And then we move on to our main event of the night, which was Swerve Strickland versus Daniel Garcia. Thank Christ, Swerve won this.
Yes.
But then after the match, of course, Swerve, I will say, this isn't even the of course part, but I will say, just kind of to interrupt myself, Swerve went for a handshake? Oh, no, you know what? This is what this was. Swerve acted like he was going to go do a handshake with Garcia, but then low blowed him from behind. So that was great.
Yeah, he did.
But then, no, after that, this was where the of course part comes in. Hangman comes out, and we get a pull apart fight between Swerve and Hangman. I
And
hated
you and
this.
I, yeah.
This
Yeah, I
had
hated this
this
too.
had me angrier than Hangman thought he was on this show.
Yeah, you and I had I think this is the biggest part of our Rocket League discussion because, as I said to you, and I'll keep it very brief, uh, like Swerve's already beaten you at two straight pay-per-views. Like, what heat is there in this rivalry now? Like, Swerve just is the definitive winner of this feud to me. So I understood your anger completely when you kind of expressed it to me after Dynamite went off the air because I'm like, there's no life to this
Yeah.
feud now. There's nothing to work with here. Um, do you think that was just a one-off and fucking Hangman's gonna redirect his energy to Cole and company, or
Dude,
do you think they're gonna
sure as
try and
hell
do another one?
fucking hope so.
We'll have to see, man. I have my worries, as I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see what they do, but goddamn, like, just Swerve even said at the media scrum, like the World's End media scrum, I just want to be the first Black AEW World Champion. Like he's been saying over and over, I want that AEW World Title. I want that AEW. So why, like, come on, Tony. Like, either
Why are
tell
we
him it's gonna
spinning
happen
our
for him.
fucking wheels here, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm exasperated just talking about it. Clearly. Um, so that was Dynamite, which means now we get to WWE territory, right? Like NXT, SmackDown, and
Yeah.
Raw. So what do you want to talk about first on this set?
Just because it's the most recent, let's talk about SmackDown first.
Yeah, man, that's fine with me.
And
I
because it's the
enjoyed
most
SmackDown.
recent thing on SmackDown, and because I know that you're the most excited to talk about it, let's talk about the triple threat main event between Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and that other guy.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciated that other guy for doing the hard work of monopolizing all the suck. Uh,
Yeah, it's not easy, but someone has to do it.
Absolutely. Alan, look, if I could give, if, in the words of Lance Storm, if I could be serious for a moment, that's my first one of 2024. We'll see how many times I use that line in the coming year. Um, AJ is still incredible, man. Like AJ at his age and everything, and with the bums I know that he's taken in TNA and everything, you'd think that he'd be like moving slower, moving a step, but like he's still so damn good. I'm like, what is your fucking like? Is it flat Earth? Do I need to like imbibe at least one innocuous conspiracy just to be like fucking immortal or some shit? I'll fucking pick one shit. Moon's made out of cheese. Give me the fucking elf that fucking Alan over here has. Um, Alan with the slacks, Jamaris. I really like really thought about AJ wrestling in slacks. Um, I will say I'm happy for oh, Kirby's here. Oh,
Yay,
love you, Kirby.
Kirby!
Big hugs to you. I didn't really appreciate your reply to my Starlight Kid tweet because he's like, when I did that Starlight Kid appreciation tweet, he actually replied with, "She's the best. No one takes a kick to the face like Kiddo," and then he did a gif of him getting kicked in the
that's,
face.
that's amazing.
And also, you would have appreciated this because it's us. He emphasized the face part of the tweet. So like, yeah,
Nice.
he
Love
just
that.
did everything.
Nice.
Love you though, Kirby, very much. Really happy to see you back in the chats where you belong, my friend. I know it's been quite a road. Um, Oh god, and now Super Blue with the quote unquote counterpoints. LA Knight doesn't suck. AJ does for ruining everything. Yeah, putting on a fucking clinic is ruining everything. Way to go, Super Blue. That's a salient argument. So yeah, these three, I will say, all three guys had their moments to shine in this. It really felt like a pay-per-view quality triple threat to me for the
Yeah.
limited time they got on TV. I um I think one great spot was when Orton was doing the kind of like the belly to back kind of drops into the announce table, kind of throwing him in there. But then he tries to do another one to AJ. AJ backflips, lands on his feet, and then he does that to Orton. I thought that was a really cool spot. Um, RKO in midair to AJ was great by Orton. I'll even give Knight credit. The sequence of him blocking the RKO and then hitting the BFT. Well done. I think AJ did hit a phenomenal form at one point. No, I think his big move was the 450. But Knight like kicked out. Everybody had a moment in this match where it looked like the victory was going to be theirs. And then Roman Reigns comes out because clearly we haven't seen this before, and clearly this is totally going to work the way that he wants it to. Um, and they just lay everybody out. But I will say the one thing I liked about even this, bro, and I'm curious what you think. You might not have much to say about this, but I really appreciated this. Aldis is watching all this, and he's like, you could see he's like quietly seething because him and Roman Reigns had that interaction last week where Aldis is more or less telling him, like, hey, you might be the tribal chief, but I'm the general manager. And you're going to do what I ask you to do, because I'm the fucking boss kind of thing. And, I'm sorry, Javaris. I'm just trying to be fair here. But he, is kind of looking at everything. And then he takes Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's kind of doing like his whole prayer thing. I'm loving how Paul has changed his character because most people might think, isn't he still just an advocate? But he is so terrified of Roman, and he's equal parts terrified, and he's just fucking bought in,
Yeah.
right? He's fucking bought in. Like, yeah, this is my tribal chief. I am riding this gravy train. I'm fucking rich. We're fucking rich, running this business forever, and all this kind of touches his arm and he's like, "Hey," and it's Paul immediately. He was such a mood because I feel like this is my energy, even when you're being like nice to me and you're trying to like rein me in. He's like, "No, don't you touch me," and I'm like, "Yeah." You tell him, Paul. And he's like, "Hey, when they're done celebrating, you tell them congratulations." And then Paul's like, "Oh, for what?" Because he just earned himself a fatal four-way with all three of these guys at the Royal Rumble. And I love the juxtaposition of Paul's face because his eyes bugged out of his skull, like, "Oh, fuck." And Roman has no idea what the
Yeah,
fuck's
that's
happening.
why though. That's why because now Paul has to be the bearer of that bad news.
And I did watch that exclusive where like Roman doesn't really say anything. You could see like he's like consumed like facially with frustration. Like his expression is very like frustrated. And he says, "Oh, you want to come for this?" And he has this great shot where he holds the title of the camera and then he says, "Wise man." "Yeah, yes, my tribal chief. Fix this." Yeah, yes, my tribal chief. Like Paul is a beast. So somebody like call some kind of servant. Check on that man.
Adult Protective
Um,
Services, APS.
yes, something like that. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed this triple threat. I like that, and this should have been happening a lot more because I think the only other time this happened was WrestleMania with at the time Edge
Edge and Brian,
and
yeah.
Brian. This dude should have been in a lot more multi-man matches because when you go on the insane fucking run that he has, you have to think like, well, if one opponent can't stop you, let's do two and then three. And I wouldn't have even minded if at some point in his time when he was in like a six-pack challenge or some shit. So like, I'm happy to see this. And plus, for people that did want to see Orton get his shot, but then also really liked AJ and also thought, again, if we're just being fair and we're being honest, like, oh, LA Knight deserves like a rematch. Now everybody gets to scratch that itch and you get a fatal four-way, and I think it'll be really good because if this triple threat was good, and I thought it was, you add Roman to the mix, I can't see how it would be that bad. So I'm excited for this. Really, if I blame anybody, I blame fucking Dwayne because he's kind of taken all of my excitement out of this because he laid down his challenge. So, like, of course Roman's going to retain because nobody's going to pay to see LA Knight versus The Rock. I would, however, pay to see Randy Orton versus The Rock, just to be the real legend killer just one more time just to put down The Rock. And then AJ Rock, yeah, hey, AJ can get a great match out of anybody. That might be Rock's best like in ring matchup if we're being honest. Um, but yeah, yeah. That was really good. Do you have any thoughts about the triple threat or just the fatal four way coming up at Royal Rumble?
Should be fun.
Should be fun. Yeah, like a night out with your face. What else do we want to talk about on this show?
Tyler Bates' debut on SmackDown was really good.
Really enjoy this. I said recently that I feel like I'm getting back into Tyler Bates, so it was really cool to see him debut on SmackDown. I'm wondering if this is like a proper debut or if this is like I did a favor for a friend kind of thing. If it is a proper debut, it would be cool to see him and Dunn in the tag division. I do wonder if it's still kind of like a Brawling Brutes thing or if they're just gonna do like a different thing, maybe kind of do like a mustache mountain thing or like what was the British strong style? British
Yep.
strong style was yeah, just kind of do that. Um and you might be right there, Superior Paul. You might be correct. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed this debut. You know what I really do want to talk about though, even more than bait, and I feel like you might have some stuff to say about this because I know how big you've been on this guy. SmackDown seemingly has plans for Ashanti.
Ashanti, yes,
How
dude.
did you feel
When
about
I
this segment, bro?
saw
I want to hear you
this,
talk.
I got so fucking excited. I was hoping we would get something night of, but we didn't, and I left disappointed by that. But the fact that they have any plans for him at all gets me so excited. I will say too, I saw a clip of um, I forget what's the woman's name that was in that faction.
BFAB?
BFAB, yeah. A clip of her training, I think, at the dungeon or something going on with Natalia because I saw her a clip of her training, and she was looking good as far as like the grappling stuff goes too. So it's good to see her putting in the work to improve as well. But man, Ashanti getting something to do at all is so exciting to me because if they give him really anything that he can sink his teeth into, I feel like he is one of those like how do I put this? It's like I feel like there's so much potential there, but there can be a lot of potential. I need to see if he can sink or swim. And I can't know if he can sink or swim until he gets an opportunity to do one or the other. And he hasn't yet, really. So I just want to see him get an opportunity to do something to know if it's worth investing more of my like fandom into. Because I really like him just kind of as like a raw mold, like a raw block of clay, kind of as like somebody just I can see talent there. He's got charisma. He's got a good look. He's very athletic. Like there's something there. I just want to know if it's like together yet, or if he still has to put it together.
I will say I'm not going to say much about Ashanti because I wanted to give you that chance to time up because I know you've always been a bigger fan of him than me. I might become a big fan when he really gets let loose and I can really like see him build something. I just want to talk about very quickly because I meant to even touch on this in the triple threat segment and I just never did because I was having fun with the chat or whatever. I really like Nick Aldis as the manager, man.
Yeah,
It's like really growing on me. I think he's great in this role. I love that he doesn't take the bloodline shit.
yeah.
Like
He
I
does a
love that
really good job with the no nonsense.
he really does. And like he's not petty or vindictive either. Like I've liked babyface GMs. Like I really loved Stephanie in her era when she came in. Actually amazed me how convincing a babyface she was, given I'm just so used to her being a heel now. And Teddy Long, I mean, come on, you know? And Adam Pierce was fine, but like, and no disrespect to Pierce, he seems like a cool dude, but just something that Aldis brings to the table, I don't know. I'm really liking him in this role, man. And I wanted to give him his props too, because him even saying like, you know, it's not that it's not that I don't believe in you or whatever. It's like, I've been thinking of things. Like I love that all this, whether it's with the main event talents like Orton and like, well, Reigns through Paul Heyman, or these undercard acts that are hungry like Ashanti, like he's just willing to do that business. He's willing to meet them where they're at. I just really find that refreshing. I hope they keep using him like this without overexposing him. I think he's in a really nice sweet spot right now.
I feel like they've done a good job of writing the Nick Aldis character as just like a regular dude almost. Like if you went into the business world and you found just a really good, competent manager of people and plopped him into SmackDown, he would handle SmackDown the way that Nick Aldis has, I feel like.
Yeah, dude, you know what I think the real turning point for me was like, okay, maybe he'll be good to actually I do like him and I'm curious where this will go. When he just took that RKO from Orton and they didn't make a bigger storyline out of it where, oh, I'm going to use my power to teach Orton. You don't do that to me. Because all this is mine was, I got the deal. He signed my contract.
Yeah,
So what? I
I
won
won.
RKO. I got Randy Orton on SmackDown. Fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. And then, I mean, obviously he's not going to like
Here's my
go backwards.
ass.
Yeah, if he did do that, I mean, just straight up winner for funniest moment of the year. But no, I like that he took it on the chin and he looked at the bigger picture. He's I think the word I would use for him just to encompass all my feelings is he's pragmatic. And I like that. I like a pragmatic babyface GM. I don't think we've ever had a babyface GM like that because even Teddy Long and Stephanie, when they would have Superstars pushback, it's like, oh, you're suspended without pay, or I'm not going to deal with that play. And all this is like, look, I'm not going to just
You're gonna go one
invite
on
being
one with
abused.
the Undertaker.
Exactly. It's like I'm not gonna invite being abused, but like you're making me money, so I'm not gonna complain. So like, yeah, I really like his approach. I really hope they keep this up. But yeah, I'm excited for Ashanti too, man. I like when SmackDown really kind of embraces being that secondary show and being a quote unquote land of opportunity. And Ashanti could really personify that in
God,
2024.
what
So
a
I'm
great
excited.
era that was.
It was
Or at
experimental and
least
it, and
could
it,
have
it was
been
different.
if it didn't culminate in Jinder Mahal's world title reign.
Dude, I know. But we can try again. And I think Ashanti is a far better guy to start with on that blueprint.
Yeah.
So, what else on SmackDown would you like to talk about?
Well, we had one hell of an amazing women's championship match. I mean, maybe not match of the year worthy yet, but like maybe it just one notch below that, honestly, because Io and Mia tore the house down.
Dude, they fucking cooked, bro. Yeah, you know what? I want you to talk first because Io is your girl. You really gave a lot of love to her throughout 2023, culminating in her year-end awards. What were some of your favorite moments in this match that kind of stuck out to you?
No, I don't want to talk about any individual moments. I just in general want to praise Mia Yim because I've noticed a lot of people lately since she pinned Io in that 4-on-4 tag match, just being like, "Oh my God, why her? Like she's not, she doesn't do anything. She's mid or whatever." And it's I can't even really fault those people because those people only watch WWE. They're not familiar with her NXT work. They're not familiar with her Mae Young Classic work. They're not familiar with her indie work. So they just see what she does in WWE, and in WWE, she's done nothing. She's like, they know her as a bullet babe at this point. They know her as like that chick that hangs out with AJ Styles and the Good Brothers. And so for them to have only ever been exposed to that and then get exposed to this, I'm really excited for her. I hope that she made a lot of fans with this match. And I hope that this doesn't end up getting chalked up to an EO carry job because as amazing as EO is, she can't have this good of a match by herself. She needs a good dance partner.
You said everything perfectly. I'm not even gonna try and step on your toes. I do just want to mention two particularly Mia Yim spots in this match that I really popped for.
Cool.
Um, Middle rope styles clash.
Yes.
Loved it. That actually again got in my awards. They're just like they're all competing right now. So like
And
I'm
I
putting them
love
all in like
too
an honorable
that
mentions.
like she's not just using a Styles Clash to be like, I'm a girl and I can use cool moves too. There's the personal connection. Like she literally is friends with AJ Styles in kayfabe.
Yeah.
So he
For
probably
now, I
in
mean,
kayfabe
yeah.
taught her that move.
I'm surprised they didn't have a backstage segment following up where AJ was like, "What was that? I didn't say you could use my move because he's back to like emo AJ Styles. I wear slacks now, Mishin. Where do you think our friendship fits in this?" Alan, I didn't know. Yeah, you didn't know.
He's too much of a
Um,
loner now to confront anyone about anything.
True. And also, just because I'm such a basic technical wrestling bitch mark, God, I love seeing a good dragon suplex. And like her doing that dragon suplex to EO made me pop. So like,
She had a really
yeah,
nice gut wrench suplex in this too.
yeah, she did. No, these two cooked.
Set up
These are the types of
her
matches.
cannonball.
Yeah, yeah. These two cooked. These are the kinds of matches I want EO to have in her title reign. And while we're just talking about EO and the title and extension damage control, we might as well talk about before it slips my mind the backstage segment that damage control had after EO's defense. They want to ship Bailey out to the island so fucking bad.
Dude, I have been talking about this. The thing is, I was right and wrong. I was right in the sense that I figured Io would win the Rumble, or Bailey rather. Bailey would win the Rumble, and they would do the whole like, "All right, Bailey, you won the Rumble. Now you can go beat Rhea for the title, and we can just damage control can just run all of WWE thing." But what I didn't
Yeah,
expect is that they would encourage her to do it. That was not what I expected. That was not on my bingo card.
they want to get her the fuck off their show so that EO can run everything.
Dude, they really are trying to ship her off.
Bro, they're not even being subtle about it.
No, they're
I'm
not. They're
Bailey. I'm
like,
like,
hey, Bailey, I have an amazing idea. Get the fuck out of here.
yeah. And if I'm Bailey, I'm just like, you guys like me, right? And then the rest of the damage control was like, yeah, yeah. It's just damage control running everything. That's your dream, isn't it? Well, I just my dream was to kind of take
No,
over this brand with my
no,
friends,
no.
but yeah, dream
Because
bigger.
Bailey's character would be like, hey, yeah, that was my dream. You're right. This is my idea. I'm so smart.
Oh god, oh god, dude. You're right. You're right. And that's a problem because I was saying in chat, and I just have to give a shout out to this dude because I don't know if he goes back and he listens to these on VOD, but I gotta shout out Sean, who is such a cool fucking dude. Like I really
Sean
love
is
him. You're a good,
lovely. I've been so happy
yeah.
to have him showing up in audio chats more over the last week.
Yeah, Sean, if you hear this, and I hope you do, you're a fucking king, my dude. But I even said, like, oh, but Bailey could pull a Batista, and Sean just put the kibosh on. Like, did he put it together? He put the kibosh on it so perfectly because he's like, she's gonna need more backup, brother. Because, like, yeah, you're facing all these fucking people, and the more I think about it, especially after you did that with your face and the tone and everything, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, she still ain't gonna see it coming. You're gonna beat her ass. And then she's gonna be like, "Oh, but I have this title shot. So my revenge is just gonna be beating you, EO at Mania." And then I'm just gonna be like, oh, Bailey. Oh, nothing ever works the way you want it to. So yeah, I love this segment. I love what they're doing with Damage Control. In fact, in hindsight, I'm actually glad they didn't pull the trigger at Survivor Series War Games. I know Javaris and I were so excited about it at the time. We're gonna beat the brakes off of her, beat her like she stole something and all that stuff. but it really shows how shrewd like Io or Dakota or whoever like kind of thought about this. I'll say in kayfabe Io, how shrewd she is because it's like, well, wait. Why kick her out and create an enemy when we can still make her believe she's an ally, augment the power of the group, and get her the hell away from me at the same time? It's a win-win-win. So it actually shows a craftiness from a heel leader that I'm not really used to since the last person that tried to do this in Triple H. And here's the thing, he would have gotten away with it if he didn't try and force Batista's hand so hard, and I'm guessing that Io's gonna make the same fucking mistake. So I look forward to seeing it all unfold. Um, uh, anything else you want to say about this?
Just real quick, do you know who the current betting odds favorites are to win the two Royal Rumbles?
Is it Bailey and CM Punk?
It's Bailey and CM Punk.
I hate CM Punk, but I'm happy for you, Bailey. I hope you actually go and win, especially because we should mention one thing. Bianca did officially declare her participation in the Women's Rumble.
Yeah.
And she said, your little plan isn't gonna work because I'm gonna win the Royal Rumble again. And I'm just like, Bianca, I love you, but you had your monumental run. It's Bailey's turn. Okay. It's Bailey's turn right now. So, and then Damage Control was like, Io says as the leader, you need to take care of Bianca for your plan to work. And Bailey was like, oh, yeah, I can do it. You guys do like me. It's just like, yeah, no, Bailey, you got this, you got this.
Dude, yeah, it's wild how Bailey has basically been reduced to like backstage lackey for this group when she literally created it.
She is down bad and not even in the traditional way. It's just a bad time to be Bailey, but her
Yeah.
fortunes could turn around in just a few weeks, man. I mean, I will say, as it stands right now, just because I hate CM Punk and I hate Cody Rhodes and I hate these fucking people, I am more excited for the Women's Rumble more than Men's Rumble right now.
I mean, dude,
Uh,
yeah, especially because like literally the top three men's Rumble odds are all bad. It's CM Punk, The Rock, and Cody Rhodes.
just chud after chud after chud. Fuck me. Um,
And then finally we get to a good option at number 4, Gunta.
oh, God, fucking Mastodon. Oh man, fucking be my ring general. Um, is the only thing worthwhile left to talk about Kevin Owens and Santos US tournament final, or was there anything like between all of this? Because
Um, well, we
really,
do have a new faction on SmackDown. That's kind of interesting.
oh, I wasn't. No joke. I wasn't even trying to express this. I thought about it earlier in the show, and then it must have just slipped my mind. But you are right. Yes. Carrie and Douche and AOP are back with Paul Ellering, which is really cool. But yeah, they got introduced because Lashley's faction, which I wish would, you know, be more prominent, maybe get some wins. Talked about, how they're going to start 2024 strong. I think Lashley did declare himself for the men's Royal Rumble because he wants to be in the main event scene.
Yes, that is
Because we're
true.
not
He
all
did.
yes, and to answer your question, Superior Paul, because we can't all be as inwardly beautiful as you are. Obviously, that's why you and I are always going to be friends because I'm never going to turn on you. At least, well, not that way. But regardless, we have that promo, and then all of a sudden, Scarlett shows up on the Tron, and then her and Cross come out, and I'm like, oh, that's great. I will say I do like Scarlett's new look. I thought that was a great look for her.
The
Cross I
leather
still
clad with the blonde hair and the blue contacts.
it seemed more like brunette to me. Was it like a dirty kind of blondish color? Either way, I liked it. Um, and yeah, then Ellering comes out, and I'm like, oh man, it's happening. And then
Oh yeah, no,
AOP,
you're right. It was brunette. You're right.
yeah, and then AOP just kind of lay out Lashley's group, and I appreciate that, Superior Paul. I love you so much. But they lay out Lashley's group, and they do a super collider, and they did it properly, giving both people space, which was really nice. Um, I mean, AOP looked fine. Yeah, and then Cross lays out Lashley. I know they did like an exclusive after SmackDown where BFAB checked in on Lashley and the Profits, and pretty much saying, they fired the first shot. Now it's our turn. So this is going to be the feud.
I'm
A
okay
bit
with it, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd rather Lashley and the Profits not have to work with Cross. But I'm at least like bare minimum. I'm literally like I'm grasping at straws here for something to like. I'm glad Paul Ellering's still around. I'm really glad that they didn't just ditch him last minute like they did when AOP debuted on the main roster, because that was brutal. Like, he was the main thing that made them interesting to me.
He had one last algorithm in him, my man. Um, so yeah, we'll see where this faction goes. I knew it wasn't going to happen because obviously they're still entangled with the LWO, but I was kind of hoping that Lashley and his group would feud with Santos, Umberto, and Garza. And I only say that because Umberto and Garza helped Santos beat Bobby Lashley in the U.S. title tournament. So it's not like they were completely like
Oh yeah,
untethered to
that's a
each
good
other.
point. They would have had a
Yeah,
reason to be pissed at them.
exactly. But instead, they get leapfrogged by the Grease reject and these, AOP. I won't even insult them. They just came back and everything seems fine right now. So,
Don't call,
yeah, AOP and Ellering.
don't
So,
insult Grease either. You're gonna offend my mom.
well, I mean, we already ruined the movie for her when we told her the two main people died because you don't take a car up into the sky like that. That literally defies physics. It's a metaphor for death. They're dead. It happened. So, with that, yeah, now U.S. title tournament, or was there anything else before this? I'm just really stuck on Kevin and Escobar and fucking
I mean,
banger
that
match that they
opened
had.
the show, didn't it?
It did. It
Then yeah,
did.
that's the only thing left. Let's do it.
I will say I won't go spot for spot, but there was one point where like fucking Santos hit an impeccable fucking head scissors countering the pop-up power bomb, but then Kevin just got the pop-up power bomb immediately afterwards, and I'm like, why? But other than that, I mean, it's fucking Kevin Owens and it's Escobar. You're never gonna go wrong with two people of this caliber. The very start of the matchup, Raul and Joaquin, because they don't know any better and they're just incredibly disrespectful and disloyal. They come out and they take out Umberto and Garza. That was really classy, totally respectful. And it leaves, Santos to kind of defend himself against Kevin. I am glad that they got to have a proper matchup because Kevin had like this hot start with Santos distracted. I'm pleased that they didn't book it where it's like, oh, just hit him with the stunner. Like, no, he actually tried to beat him with the bullfrog splash. He doesn't, and they go in and have a bit of a competitive matchup. Logan Paul's on commentary. I will say, as much as I hate to say it, dude's got heat to the point where when the two guys that are actually wrestling and doing a great job of it are in the match, the crowd can only focus on Logan Paul, and Logan Paul, to his credit, takes advantage of that, takes his headset off, and he kind of poses with the title, while kind of just talking back to the crowd. So I'll give him his credit there. That was well done. As far as the match itself, Kevin does ultimately win the tournament, as we suspected he would. You know that I felt like these two were going to be feuding for a while now. So it's going to be Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul for the United States title at the Royal Rumble. Kevin Owens will not be facing Roman Reigns this year at the Royal Rumble. I know. It's weird for me too.
Yeah,
Um,
I also like. Yeah, I think you and I are both kind of in this weird place where like we don't like Logan Paul as a person, and from what I understand, he's even just recently done a scam. So like, just as a human being, he's awful and fuck him. But God, why is he so good at this?
I know. It bothers me too.
He's really good at pro wrestling to the point that I actually drafted him in the most recent draft in the 40th round.
I mean, honestly, I know he tried to get redemption through boxing, or at least try and get people to forget about his bullshit through boxing. He should have just done pro wrestling. Yeah, like that definitely is kind of the path for him.
I mean, if
He
people
talks a little.
forgot Stone Cold Steve Austin beat his wife.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. See, yeah, yeah. I mean, you didn't forget. Your face never forgets. But I mean, yeah,
I mean, a
everybody
lot of
did.
people didn't forget, but most people forgot.
Yeah, yeah, to the point where he made a shit ton of fucking money.
Yeah.
So Logan gets in the ring. He talks a little shit to Kevin about how I've been United States champion for 62 days. And what I love about Kevin, because I feel like this is how he really feels about people, just with how he reacts to certain segments. Like I remember when he had that like promo exchange with Lana, and she was so bad at it, and he just couldn't help but like bitch bump. Like I feel like that's like a work shoot, right? Like it works for his character, but he's shooting at the same time,
Right.
and like he just has this look like, dude, I hate you so much, you fucking suck. And I obviously he's selling the matchup, but I can't help but think he really feels that way. Like, oh my god, what happened to the game I love? What is fucking happening? Yeah, look at that. I have a lucky punch too. You're not special. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anybody can
so
get injured and have to put something hard on their hand or in their hand to make their punch hurt more.
exactly. So yeah, that was SmackDown. I guess now we'll talk about NXT then.
Okay, cool. I liked NXT this week. I think, if I remember correctly,
I liked it too. I was pissed that Trick didn't get his matchup, but at the same time,
Oh yeah, that's what happened on NXT this week.
yeah, at the same
Because
time, I will
Kevin
s
helped at the end.
well, yeah, he helped, like, he punched Grayson Waller out and Trick kept his title shot. We'll circle back to that. But why I like that they canceled the title matchup, look, you and I both, I think, like Trick Williams. We're a fan of the dude. We were not a fan of how he got this title shot just winning the Iron Survivor Challenge, particularly, like, the way he won the Iron Survivor
Right,
Challenge, just getting all
the
those
way that
falls.
he basically no sold everything and just Supermaned up.
Yeah. Yeah, just got went on that huge hot streak. This, though, was more my speed if you wanted to build him up as a credible challenger. Because you had Mello, backstage with him, still with the whole attacker angle, like, "Hey, who attacked us?" And, then just being like, "I've been getting Trick ready. We've been hitting
Oh,
the gym."
Trick. Oh, Mello, I should say. You're adorable saying who attacked us.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's funny. Us. He's so
We,
cute.
I'm gonna circle back to what Superior Paul, said earlier, what about friendship? I really can't believe the New Day out here having the strongest friendship in professional wrestling. Even that might be going by the wayside with Twitter lately. Fucking
Bro, don't even
yeah,
get me
dude.
started. Kofi, what are you doing?
Don't let this be your legacy, bro.
Yeah, dude, Biggie. Biggie's great. I love him.
Biggie hasn't been in the ring for so long, and yet he's still so tired of everybody's shit.
I
Like,
miss him so much.
bro, Big E's gonna be the new guy now that with every Rumble, because we have Rumble coming up, I'm just hoping that he's gonna be like a surprise entrant. He's like, "Hey guys, guess what? I'm back." I yeah, I miss him
It
too.
hurts.
It does. When I really think about it too long, it genuinely does. You're right. So I'm not gonna think about it anymore. I'm gonna numb it. Yay!
Oh my
And
god,
so
that's the best tactic against grief.
I agree. It's so fucking healthy. I'm
I
thriving.
grief.
I, I wow. Wow. You know what? You're still on paid staying, your diplomatic immunity.
You really wanted to send me to my room for that one, huh?
I really the urges sometimes that I get when your face oversteps, but I'm gonna swallow it.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's good chalky medicine. All
Oh
right.
no.
So so yeah, Mello is like, "Oh, we've been getting him ready," and then Grayson Waller comes in, calls Trick a loser, this and all the usual stuff, and then Mello's like, "He ain't afraid of you. He'll even put up his number one contendership." And I'm like, "What?" Like,
Yeah, Mello, you're a bad friend for that. Just straight up.
you're that would be like if Ashton came into a shit ton of money and I'm like, "Huh, he'll bet all of it. That's how confident he is he can beat you." It's like, "Bro, I'm rich now. Like, I can change
I
the
have
world and you're gonna risk it
power.
all." Yeah. And then me, much like Mello, so maybe yeah, I guess we just put that all up in a little bow. And again, Trick did keep his title shot. Actually, since we're kind of packaging this, just to kind of move along a bit quicker, I do want to give credit to one thing that I normally don't talk about on these shows. The camera work for the end of this show was fucking great because there's this amazing shot of Trick on the top rope, arms stretched out, taking in those whoa, that Trick chants. And I gotta say too, I've never really cared for Booker T as a commentator, but him ad-libbing the whole Trick stuff and being kind of his hype man, so to speak,
Yeah.
it actually works for me.
Yep.
There's actually somebody uploaded on YouTube a version of Trick's theme with the whoop that Trick chants and Booker T ad-libbing, and that should just be the theme, honestly, 'cause like, it just fucking works. But yeah, great shot of Trick just on the top rope posing. He be winning. He's fucking getting his title shot. He's on the rise. And Mello just at ringside looking like, "Damn, that used to be me," holding Trick's shirt, which is just on the front, it says, "Trickin' ain't easy." So,
Yep.
yeah, it's a great fucking shot. I normally don't praise, like, cinematography in WWE. Maybe I'll be praising it more now that Kevin Dunn's out of the fucking company.
True. Oh
Um,
my god, that's so possible. Dude, this show would have been without Kevin Dunn's direction, I believe, too.
yeah. Yeah, and it was just a great shot. It just conveyed everything.
Yeah.
Ash and I have said, pro wrestling is closer to theater than it is to sports. This is theater. I don't really
This
like the whole
is
convoluted, like, "Oh,
cinema.
yes, yes." I don't really like the whole convoluted, "Oh, who attacked us?" And then it was the best friend, and they do all that, but if you're gonna do it, this is a perfect shot that encapsulates me why it can work, because Mello is so insecure in his spot right now, and he's a bad friend because he doesn't like the Trick shining, and that's not what real friends do, and I love that. Um I guess if we're just kind of jumping around, um, I will say, what did you think about the NXT Women's Title match, Blair
I
Davenport
did
versus
not
Lyra
see this.
Valkyria?
I only got home at like I want to say like 8:30 ish on Tuesday night because I was doing laundry.
Okay, so I can actually fill this in because you know that I was actually,
Actually, it
again,
was later
really
than
good.
that because the first thing that I remember seeing on this show was Tiffany Stratton versus Fallon Henley. I didn't even see most of that match. I just saw the end of it.
Right. Well, I could talk about this.
Cool.
Uh, yeah, like, because you know that I was actually good about watching wrestling this week. We'll see how
Hooray.
long I can keep it up in the new year. Um, but yeah, I liked it. It was weird to me how they kinda handled this matchup because Blair, in my mind, was the clear heel, but yet they made the heel kinda sympathetic in a way. Well, maybe not. I'll have to contextualize it for you because you missed it. So, they're having their back and forth, Blair, very aggressive with the strikes and stuff, Lyra, spirited babyface, all that stuff. The pivotal moment, though, came when, like, Lyra's head was, like, by the announce table, like, the side of it, and Blair wanted to do like a Kamigoye type knee, pretty much implying that she wanted to just really like bang the back of her head against an announce table while her knee was in her face. Like devastating spot. Lyra moves out of the way and Blair fucks up her knee. And then later in the matchup, she goes for like a double stomp or something. She got a double stomp earlier in the match, I think into the back of the head that was like nasty. And she misses, and again, the knee gives out. Lyra totally capitalizes, gets the big spinning kick, and then her Samoan driver, which I forget what she calls it, might be something Valhalla or something. Because I know also Taya Valkyrie has that whole thing. And Lyra retains off that Samoan driver finish. But yeah, it was interesting that they gave Blair the out of, oh, I had an injured body part, and, like, that's what took me out, because normally I feel like that's more of a babyface thing, and, like, she only got it because she was so malicious, she was so just hyper fixated on hurting Lyra that, yeah, she just had that big, big fumble there. Well, maybe I shouldn't use that word since we're using it for Tony Khan and, like, company decision, but she just had made that big miscalculation. That's a
Mistake,
word I'll
yeah.
use. Yeah, big mistake, big calculation. So, yeah, that's kinda how the match went. They clearly protected Blair. I have no doubt that she'll probably get a rematch down the road, but since again we're kind of joining things up that kinda match, she would have a segment later with Nikita Lyons, and
Donald
they're
Rump.
yep, Donald Rump. And they're beefing, and they're clearly, like, in a kind of feud. So, that happened. So let's see. You okay? You said Fallon Henley to finish out. Let's just talk about that real quick. Loser gets to be the winner's servant for a day, servant or ranch hand. I did like the video package they did before this. I actually like the contrast. I thought it was smart of NXT to kind of have this contrast because Fallon Henley is more blue collar, Midwestern type thing. Tiffany Stratton very much like West Coast, wealthy, elite, socialite is the word I'm looking for, kind of thing.
Valley Girl.
Valley Girl, totally. My Tiffany epiphany is that poor people are gross. Um, so
My Tiffany
there,
Epiphany is that capitalism makes the world go round.
yeah, it does. Um, Not a bad match. Tiffany, I think, had like one botch where I'm like, God damn, if she could really tighten up her act, she really wouldn't even be that bad. But like, there are just certain things here and there where I'm like,
You
and
know
of
what,
course, the
dude? Even if she were to tighten up the botches, she needs to learn how to fucking sell.
yes,
That's my
yes,
bigger problem. Like we really don't need more Charlottes in the world.
yeah, we really don't. Yeah. Um, Fallon winning, I will say this, because it was also announced by Ava, actually.
Dude, she's awful. Oh my god, she's so bad.
Well, now she's apparently got power after being in a cult. What the fuck,
Oh my
NXT?
god, she is who one of the worst talkers I think I've ever seen in pro wrestling ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she's a sweet person, but yeah, like it's bad. Um, but she did announce that Men's Dusty Classic is going to be happening, I think, starting next week, and already we got Corbin going to Braun, which Braun was wearing like a tank top muzzle tee said best spear in the business, and I'm like, you goddamn right. So I love that he's self-aware. That's our jock right there. And Corbin was pretty much like, oh, but we could just dominate everyone and then go after the tag titles." And then Braun was like, "Oh," because at first he was like, "Why would I team with you?" And like, I can't really say I blame Braun for that reaction. It's adult Caillou. Who the fuck wants to associate with that? But then, Corbin made his case, and now we're here. But I only bring that up because I could see Fallon and Tiffany, being a strange bedfellows team in the women's Dusty Classic if
Right.
they have one. Um, you know, maybe Tiffany will do this and she'll feel like it's gross, but maybe they'll have a final segment where it's like, I never realized how hard people like you work. Yeah, people like me, Tiffany, cool. But then they just start to like, oh, maybe we could do this kind of thing. It'll be pointless, but it'll probably happen.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
I'm fully expecting that. Like for sure, it seems pretty inevitable that that is exactly where they're going with this. And the downside is they're gonna try and make Tiffany a babyface, and that just sounds like a disaster waiting to happen to me because
it does.
she's not likable at all.
No, she isn't. And while I would like to see more people feast their eyes with Dijak getting a push, I won't be able to avert my eyes from that disaster. Um, So beyond this, I mean, I know the only other really big thing come out of NXT in my mind. Now, well, we know the family is going to be defending the um the NXT tag titles against OTM next week, and
Over
they
the who?
had yeah. Is that what they're called?
I'm asking.
Um,
I don't know.
I don't know. They're just a tag team
Oh,
that I know got a title shot because they beat Chase U.
oh,
But yeah. I think they're out the mud. Out the mud, I think is what it
oh,
is.
those guys. Okay, that's Tank and
Yeah.
Hank, right?
I don't know, but I'm gonna take your word for it.
Did you see them?
Um,
Is it two husky white guys?
no, they're 2 black guys.
Oh, it's Lucian Price and Bronco Nima. They're the ones that hang out with Scripts now, formerly known as Reggie.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, because I remember him in the tag match last week, when they beat Chase U.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Joe Gacy was in a, segment with the family when they were talking about OTM, and apparently he has a body in the car, and we're doing, like, a Goodfellas thing. Joe Gacy, you don't get to do Goodfellas, and if you do Goodfellas, you get to be Pesci, because you think you're getting made and you got dead. So, maybe just get your ass on out of here. Um,
Yeah.
with Men's Dusty Classic, I will say too, we already know that Nathan Frazier and Axiom are thinking about being a team. Seems pretty fucking mid to me, so don't really care. And then, Enofe and Blade, I think kind of overheard them talking about the rest of the tag division, and they said that, well, they hope to meet them in the tournament, so they'll take them out. I like Enofe and Blade personally. It's been a
Yes.
while since I've seen them work, but I know the last time I did, I thought they were a genuinely good team. So, wouldn't actually be disappointed if they won the men's Dusty Cup because it seems like Braun and Corbin are going to be the clear favorites. Um, but then again, who did Braun team with in the first Dusty Classic that we thought? Oh, I think it was Bolt
Finn.
Dempsey, right? And they got eliminated
Oh
early.
yeah. Wait, was it? Oh no, yeah. Finn and Joe won that one. That's right.
Yeah, Finn and Joe won that one. Wait, Superior Paul needs to process. Wait a minute. Am I rooting for Baron Corbin? You might be, Superior
I
Paul.
don't know.
And if
Are
you
you?
are, I'll help you work pain. It's, it's gonna be okay.
Is it?
Um,
Are you sure?
would I lie to him?
Yes.
Wow. We're having a talk later. Jesus Christ. Um, but speaking of tournaments, do we just want to talk about the NXT Men's Breakout Tournament final here? Um,
Oh yeah, Obafemi baby.
yeah, suck it, Osborne. I don't know why I popped myself with that. That was so simple. Um, but yeah, Osborne's excited, and he's like backstage. Thea Hale's really excited. They like high five. She's like, "Oh, I'm never washing his hand again." JC's like, "I don't know about that." And he goes, and yeah, "Aw, see, Superior Paul believes in me. I'm not gonna let you down. We're gonna work through this whole Baron Corbin weird thing you got going on together." But then yeah, Riley Osborne faces Obafemi in the final, and dude, Obafemi,
Right?
I am excited about this freaking dude. Holy crap! What'd you think about this, man?
Same thing, man. Same thing.
Yeah.
Really excited about Obafemi. Really, really excited
All
about him.
right. Well, here's a question. I think here's a proper question for you. Not one of those general. Hey, what do you think about this match? Or what was your no? Here's a real question for you. We know he dominated. We know Riley Osborne got like fucking bitched out big time by Obafemi and his dominance, right? That Blue Thunder toss, again, another
Dude,
competition for my spot of the year.
loved that.
Yeah,
That was sick.
I love that too. That was amazing. We know also, before I ask you this question, because Riley Osborne lost this, that he is actually going to be teaming with Duke Hudson in the Dusty Classic because JC Jane said she's taking control of the operation and that, well, Andre Chase needs to get his shit together. Now, I don't think JC Jane's earned the right, and I think she needs to mind that fucking tone with an actual teacher, but I digress. Um, and while I'm thinking of it too, her tag partner Gigi is also doing interesting things because she's gonna be facing Cora Jade next week
That's
after a segment.
former tag partner, by the way.
Former tag partner, yes. They're gonna be facing Cora Jade next week because they had a weird segment where Gigi was talking with other people in Cora's locker, but everybody was sitting in other people's lockers. So in the words of Foster, what's going on over there? Um, but here's my question for you, King. I'm gonna lay this up for you. So Obafemi won, and he won
Yes.
dominantly, as
Yes.
is to be expected.
Yes.
Also, the other great spot was when Riley was trying to get momentum on the apron to do some kind of PK or whatever, and he just like frying pan chopped his fucking chest, and you could hear that shit reverberate throughout the whole arena. Everything Obafemi coming up good. He's got the title shot. Does he go after the North American title, or do you think he's gonna try and win that world title? What do you think he's gonna do with it?
Oh, who is the current North American champion?
That is a great question. It's Dragon Lee.
Oh, and the current world champion is technically nobody, right? Because Ilya had to vacate, or is that not what happened?
No, that's not what happened. Ilya's still the champion. He just didn't get medically cleared for this one defense. It might be vacated later, but right now he's still recognized as a champion.
I don't know. Who are the current tag team champions?
The family, fucking
Yeah, okay.
Stacks, right? And
Why is
yeah.
every champion a babyface? Jesus.
Well, I guess that works well with Femi though, right? Because he's clearly is he a heel? Because Riley Osborne was clearly the face and like work it,
Are you
baby.
sure about that? Because I saw it as him being the babyface.
I mean, if Obafemi is a heel, he's a really fucking over heel. I'll say that much.
No,
But
wait, no.
that,
I see
well, no, I know what you're saying. I
Obafemi.
was getting ready to answer you though,
Oh,
because like I'm saying about myself. If I'm right, he's really over babyface. But if you're right, then that is a problem. But I didn't see him as a babyface because Riley Osborne, I think was trying to be the babyface, like, oh, look at me chop down the big guy and be the high flyer and go for the big moves. Whereas, Obafemi's like, that's cool and all, but I'm fucking huge.
yeah.
And trying to impose his will there. So I looked at him as a heel. I like
Well,
him, but I just
shit.
thought the way that he was business with the heel. So
Yeah, I clearly misread the situation then because I was just straight up feeling like he was babyface as hell.
Super Blue seems to think that Oba's a fit. Maybe I'm wrong. I just felt like the way again Riley and Oba worked that match. I want everybody to understand what I'm saying. I feel like the way Riley and Oba worked that match, Oba was the heel. Just because again, he's the bigger guy. Riley's the smaller guy, and he has to overcome the big guy, and he does it through like this exciting kind of offense, whatever. So I just feel like it's at least as far as how the match was worked. You know, Riley was more the babyface in my mind. But
Yeah, that's
again,
no, that's
I
fair. I just think that
yeah.
I don't know. You're probably right, and I just was blinded by my rose tinted glasses because I'm just such a fan of Oba's.
You and me both. No, like I get what you're saying. I just feel like yeah, like and now Javaris and Castro are like no, Oba is a heel in my opinion. Yeah, I just feel like that's the way he's being positioned. Because I feel like didn't he also beat Tavian Heights to like make it to the finals? And that
Yes,
was another babyface
yes.
they put him up against. So I feel like they're coding him as a heel. So if all
Okay.
the champions are babyface, that's a good spot for Oba to be in.
Then
But
I
then
would
it's
say
like
Dragon Lee,
yeah, because you know
North
what? We've
American
already seen
title.
he could like yeah, we already see that he could ragdoll smaller guys
Yeah.
and like Dragon Lee trying to disorient him and shit could be an interesting title match. So yeah, I agree with you. I do think Dragon Lee because I like Oba, but I don't want to put him in the main event too quickly.
Right.
Um, you can let him cook. So yeah, cash that shit in on Dragon Lee as soon as possible. And given that they're kind of treating it like a Money in the Bank thing, because that is another thing I'll say, bro, is that who won the women's breakout?
Blair.
Um, wait, say that again.
Blair?
No, no, that was Iron Survivor. I'm asking who won the
Oh,
women's breakout
Lola
tournament.
Vice.
Lola Vice, she did try and cash in her contract, and she got stopped by Tatum Paxley. And then Tatum Paxley and Lyra had a segment because Tatum is like obsessed with Lyra. So they're treating the contract almost like a Money in the Bank thing. Alba could very easily beat Dragon Lee, especially if it catches him in a vulnerable moment. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I could definitely see that happening. Um, anything else to talk about in NXT, or are we finally at Monday Night Raw?
Let's talk about Raw.
All right, my God, we've been going for a while on this. Um, yeah, I mean with Raw, I mean the big thing was obviously the world title matchup. We don't necessarily have to jump right to that. I'm just saying that was the big thing for Raw. Rhea also defended her title against Ivy Nile, and like I've definitely got thoughts about that. I think the big thing, the big thing that I remember to start was again Judgment Day with Truth. Truth again acting like he is with Judgment Day, JD McDouchebag telling him, you're not in the Judgment Day. Truth being like, well, you lost the Lucha League Judgment Day matchup, so you're not Judgment Day, and it becomes a whole thing. Because I think it was like a Miz TV type thing. And Truth explained that he wants to be Judgment Day's PR guy because not a lot of people like the Judgment Day. And I thought that was a really clever angle. Like, again, they kind of want him to be similar to like Sammy and the Bloodline, but I like how they're going about it. Sammy just wanted respect and he wanted to be recognized by Roman and the Bloodline. Truth is like, no, I'm doing you all a favor. Like, you're not doing me the favor. I'm doing you the favor by being your one man PR team, getting people to like you, and it's working because
Yeah.
he's so over.
Yep.
Um,
He's the best.
they end up having a tag match. The only really notable spot is at one point, Judgment Day try and use Truth's logic against him, be like, oh, hey, if you're in the Judgment Day, punch the Miz. Truth was actually going to do it. He winds up the punch and he's like, I'm sorry, Miz. I love you. So he does the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair thing. Miz gets out of the way, and I think it was JD that got punched. And then, yeah, it just, Miz hits the skull crushing finale. Awesome Truth reunion is successful. And Truth, is kind of, smiling about it, but also conflicted because it's like, oh, but I'm with the Judgment Day. He even kind of rationalized it to himself where he's like, oh, I get it. This is one of those strange bedfellow tag match, tests that you're going to put me through. And Judgment Day was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what's happening? Um, so yeah, that happened. Is there anything more specifically that you liked that stood out to you that you'd want to talk about?
I don't think so, but let me pull up a quick results column real quick just to get a really quick overview of everything that happened on Raw. Raw to me this week was really forgettable. It was not a very eventful episode. I think that what you just talked about with the R Truth, Ms. TV, Judgment Day stuff might have been the most memorable stuff that happened on that show. That
Yeah.
and well, of course, the Rock gender stuff, which I know you didn't like.
Oh god, do we even have to talk? Like, if you
We
have
don't
anything you
have
want
to
to say
talk
about that,
about that if you don't want to. No.
yeah, I am good to skip that because the most important thing was Rock challenging Roman. And that's fucking it. Like
Yep.
that was so bad. That like killed all the momentum that Raw was building up for me, and then they got it back. But Jesus Christ.
Fair, man. Fair.
Um, I will say, Ivy Rhea, while you're looking through stuff, I thought that was good. Ivy is okay, but my God, Rhea is so far above everybody on that roster. I forgot that Nia Becky opened that show, but we already kind of touched on it when we said that Nia won and Becky got busted open. Um, but yeah, Rhea needs a better opponent. She needs something bigger to do. You know who that opponent could have been? Fucking Shayna Baszler. If they weren't wasting her on another fucking tag team. This time with Zoe Stark. I don't get it, guys. I'm ready to just give up on Shayna, and it's not even me giving up on Shayna. It's me giving up on WWE believing in Shayna because they clearly don't, and they clearly just think like, oh, you're great in tag teams, so let's just keep doing that until the end of fucking time. So I guess if I want to see her as a champion, I'll have to go back and relive her NXT Women's Championship run. So I guess I'll just settle for that then. Um,
And that run even got tedious as hell too. Shit, we just can't have
uh,
anything.
we really can't, bud.
There
We're
just
just
is no
always meant to lose.
Goldilocks. It's either all or nothing. It's either too much or too little.
I just want to pass the ball back to you very quickly before I continue the speed run. Is there anything you want to talk about? Because I know you're kind of scanning through. If you just found anything you would want to
No, no. There's
address?
Raw. Like I said, I wasn't super into Raw this week.
The only other thing that I'll talk about, because again, not a pure recap show. We're just trying to focus on things either worth talking about positively or negatively, or just really good stuff, because that's always nice. Drew and Seth did have a solid title match. I really, really appreciated it. They really went out there and they did the damn work. Um, Interesting choice of booking though, like how they handled it, because great back and forth, cool sequences, but the ending, Priest teases a cash in. He comes out and yeah,
Dude, I hated
he
this.
he's ready to cash in. He's got Dom with him. And I love this sequence from Drew. I even kinda laughed a little because, Priest is trying to tell the ref, "Cash it in." I always hate how these refs kinda fight them on it. Like, it's their right to do it. Just fucking, like, you're, "Oh, are you sure you this and that?" Like, "Well, yeah, I came out here. Cash the fucking
Yep.
thing in." But thankfully, because this ref is also incompetent in his job, that gave Drew time to Claymore kick Priest. Hilarious. Dom is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He gets belly to belly. Great. Drew then goes back into the ring because he's like, "Man, fuck all of you." And I should mention that Priest had blasted Seth in the face with the briefcase. Great. Hits a Claymore kick. Oh my god. But then Drew overcovers Seth, and Seth's foot is on the bottom rope. Drew looks at it like, huh, well, I'm gonna murder everyone. Throws Seth out of the ring, clears the announce table. Now, I don't. This is where it lost me just a little bit because Drew is going for something. I thought he was gonna go for like a future shock or something. He was thinking like a power slam or whatever. Seth slips out of it, kicks Drew in the gut. He pedigrees him. So I don't like that Seth was able to like regain his faculties after getting a briefcase to the face and then a claymore kick. But I digress. But then after the pedigree, he gets Drew back in the ring and then hits the curb stop and pins him. Not even a problem with that because that's believable. He had a lot of offense. My biggest problem, just because I'm like, why? Drew is clearly out. He got fucked up. Okay, he got pedigree on the announce table and curb stop. Priest is standing right there, and he's seething.
Thank you.
He's emoting,
Yep.
and Cole openly says on commentary, "No cash in tonight." And
Dude.
I'm just sitting here like,
Pissed.
why?
Because here's the thing too. Seth was out. Seth was laid out. He was not like fully unconscious, but he had just been through a grueling match. He just took a claymore like 3 minutes prior. He was like destroyed by Drew in that match. And he beat Drew by the skin of his teeth. And you're telling me, and Drew is laid out like you said, he's not going to stop you finally. And like you could have Dom and I don't know, JD or Phineas go and like pull Drew out of the ring. You could cash in on Seth, hit one finisher, and you win the fucking title. And he just stands there, like you said, emoting. And that's it. I hate this.
I hated it too. I'm like, why don't you just tell us that you didn't have enough TV time? Like, Jesus Christ. Dude, I still don't believe. I want to make this perfectly clear. I still don't believe that this is going to happen. I say that to say this. Booking like this makes me sympathize with people that believe that Priest's contract is just going to expire and he's just not going to successfully cash in.
Well,
Because
dude, I mean, yeah, and if that would happen, how many times has he had opportunities to cash in and just chosen not to bother, not to even try?
exactly, yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, Priest, everyone's dead. Could still be a 2 count. I'm gonna hold on to this. Doesn't seem
Oh
like
my
a sure
God,
thing.
Priest, everyone's laid out. Yeah, but we won the tag titles earlier, and I'm partying with the fellas.
Yeah. Oh, man. The Priest, oh my god, the champion, they shattered their ankle. This is it. Look, man, I'm trying to help Truth plug in this TV in the clubhouse, okay? It can
Yeah,
wait.
that's the vibe
It,
for sure. He's literally do
it,
anything else other than cash that fucking briefcase in. We need a therapy session. We need to sit Damian Priest down and be like, "So, Mr. Priest, we hear that you've had this briefcase for approximately 6 months now, and there have been several opportunities where you could have potentially used it and gained a significant promotion in your career, and you've elected to not do that. We're just wondering, do you not want said promotion? Is that the reason why you're doing this? Are you worried that you will, as the Zillennials say these days, fumble the bag if given the opportunity to get this promotion, or perhaps fail your way out of this promotion if you attempt to grab it? And then he can just be like, "I'm not afraid, man. I'm not afraid. What are you talking about, man? I'm not afraid."
I am a man. Yeah, man. Because I've even said if Priest does succeed in cashing in, because I know they're not afraid of doing television world title matches with the Raw world title, one of his defenses should be against fucking Truth.
Dude, I'm telling you
Because
right
again,
now, the most compelling thing that they could possibly do with that world title is to take it off of Seth before WrestleMania, have Seth versus CM Punk be non-title, and have Sami Zayn challenge Priest for that title at Mania.
I agree completely. Dude, I was low key hoping that Drew would win here, and we could potentially get Drew Sammy at Mania because Drew took him out. Hey, babe.
I mean, in that case, I
Uh,
would want it to be Drew Jay at Mania.
that's also true because Drew has that again. Him and Jay really haven't settled their issues. And for the record, with or without the title, that would still be a better Mania match for Jay than just twin, twins facing each other. So yeah, I'm just really hoping they still don't stick
I
like,
wish
oh
you died in the womb.
no, yeet, and I don't know what. So yeah, Judgment Day. I said this once before, but it bears repeating mainly because I'll never pass up an opportunity to be a douche. If I'm Roman, I'm laughing at them every week. Like, you really think you compete with us? And this is after Jay left. This is after like our peak. And I still feel like we're better than you motherfuckers. Did you just not see us take out 3 top contenders on my show? Like it was nothing. And we stood tall and your boy recovers, sees the champion prone, like our competitors were prone, and he doesn't take advantage. You don't have the killer instinct, son. Fuck. Um, so yeah, that was essentially Raw. I'm sure there were things we skipped over, but again, we just talk about things we give a shit about, and Raw, like Ashton just said, was forgettable for him. And I pretty much said my piece. So we can mercifully now move
We're
on to the next
done. It
segment.
only took us 3 hours.
I know this was one of the longest fucking in reviews I think since we started the damn series.
No,
Um,
John, it wasn't one of them. It was the longest.
oh my god. All right. Did you do any extracurriculars this week?
No.
I did. Just real quick. I I watched one matchup just because I wanted to scout this woman out because I saw her on my feed. Vert Vixen, who I was already
Oh,
aware
she's
of,
cool. I
ver-
like her.
versus Danny B, who I saw on my Twitter feed
Never
as
heard of
the
her.
new Texas Pro Women's Champion. She won the title in this match, and was hoping that maybe I would have an early candidate for Revelation of the Year, but Revelation I look at as a very glowing and positive award. And just in this one match, I don't want to crap on Danny B too hard. I really wasn't impressed. Vert Vixen, you can clearly see how polished she is and
Yeah.
how, like, just how much wrestling she's done and how many matches she's had because she's very, very put together. If anything, I'd like to see more of Vert Vixen this year.
Yeah.
I definitely think I could be a bigger fan of hers.
She
Danny B
wrestled at
didn't
the
really.
ROH pay per view that I hated.
Oh, wow.
On the pre show,
Um,
though, to be fair.
yeah. Danny B, though, I know you can't judge somebody like entirely on one match. Just this match did not move the needle for me, and the only reason I picked this match was because she's the champion now. This is the match where you won the title, so I would hope that you're at a certain level of ready, in that kind of match. I personally didn't see it,
Oh,
but
actually,
that's
no,
just
you know
one
what?
man's
Vert
opinion.
Vixen actually got beaten by Nyla Rose in less than 3 minutes on the main card of Final Battle. No wonder I hated that show.
Yeah, that's really disappointing,
Yet
actually.
another reason.
So that was the only extracurricular I really watched. There was other stuff
I
I
mean,
wanted to do, but
to be
yeah,
fair, I did watch the bits and pieces of that TJPW show, but like,
yeah, yeah,
I don't know
but
if I would even count that. We talked about the Max the Impaler stuff, and we also had
yeah.
a Miyu defense, but of course she retained, so like, there's not really much to talk about there.
If things go my way, guys, these segments will be more interesting on my end in the coming year because there are things I want to scout out. But
Wahoo!
again, it's more about just time and also, if I'm just being honest, inclination because philosophy and just being a researcher is my first love, and I have been buried in the books lately. So
Yay!
I just figure if I'm honest with you, you all can be honest with me, and our relationship can stay healthy, and I can keep thirsting after the certain men in this chat and not be reported to HR because we don't have HR. It's perfect. Um, so with that, we can now open things up to fan questions. So if anybody has any
Oh,
questions about this, is
Superblue's
very
already beaten us to the punch. He already asked a question, and it's funny because he already asked a bad question because it was a question we already answered earlier on in the show.
yeah, I'm not even gonna answer that actually because I didn't really care about New Year's Dash. I don't even know what happened on New Year's Dash. I didn't pay any attention to it. And as far as Wrestle Kingdom, we talked about all the things we cared about, and I just said I left it an open question for Tanahashi. So we'll properly start with Caster Sales. Do you think Scarlett will start wrestling now?
No.
No, I don't think she will.
I
No.
wish she would because I know she can go in the ring. I think she's like, above the level of like the average Diva era or WWE wrestler. She's better than that. I think she's probably like um better than like your like Alexa Blisses and Carmelas of the world too. I would say she's a solid wrestler. She's not bad. She's not as good as like the Baileys of the world, but like she's a solid wrestler.
Yeah, yeah. Next question.
She's probably above like some of like the more recent NXT trainees, like your Tatum Paxleys and Fallon Henleys of the world too. Honestly,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
but
you know what? I'm
they
gonna.
don't seem to see her as a wrestler. Unfortunately, she is a
Yeah,
wrestler, but they just see her as a pretty face and a manager.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, no questions have really come in, so I think I'm just gonna. Oh, no, no. There we go. Superior Paul is gonna call it a night. Love you, Superior Paul. Sleep well.
Thanks for hanging,
Um,
Superior Paul. You're the greatest.
Indeed you are. Cash shows a follow-up question. Do you think if Obafemi goes after Dragon Lee, he will beat him? We already kind of touched on this too. I think he will. Yeah, I think it will be a successful
I
cash in.
hope so. I hope he does because here's the thing: Dragon Lee is on SmackDown, and he is the NXT North American Champion. I think we need to get that NXT North American title off of him as soon as possible, and Obafemi is a great candidate to do it because Dragon Lee is a tiny little man, and Obafemi is a big gigantic motherfucker who can beat the shit out of him and literally squash him, and Dragon Lee will not suffer for that squash defeat because he is still really, really talented, and we can even have him get like a couple hope spots and make it look like he has a chance, but then he doesn't.
Um, Super Bowl, I'm going to completely disregard your second question because that's nonsense. And just to answer your first question, should Rock versus Roman happen at WrestleMania 40 or Chamber? Definitely Chamber.
Chamber.
I don't want to Rock getting a fucking Mania payday. Fuck that shit.
Well, it's funny. God, we need to disregard the entire concept of a WrestleMania payday anymore because that originates in old school thinking where like WrestleMania back in the day when wrestlers paydays depended on the gate of whatever show they were working. That's not really a thing anymore. Nowadays, you get paid what you get paid. It's like they pay you how much they pay you, and that's about it. Like you don't get paid based on the gate anymore. That's not how at least WWE. That's how that might be how it works in the indies still. But these big ass huge companies that are like billion-dollar companies that are like publicly traded and shit, that's not how that works. So like
That that is that is fair.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
that was my mistake. But
no, I'm
either
just saying
way,
though, like the
yeah,
WWE is gonna pay The Rock what you would expect a WrestleMania payday quality paycheck to be to work Elimination Chamber in Australia. And he's going to
yeah,
do it. And he's going to put over Roman. And then Roman's going to go lose to Cody at Mania.
yeah. The tail end of Roman's title reign is about to fucking suck
Yeah, it is.
after
It's going to be
3 fucking years.
awesome.
Yeah, after 3 fucking years. Who are you gonna make with this title reign? Cody fucking Rhodes. This is why, no matter how much love and positivity I'm gonna try and bring into the new year, and even to the talent's credit, and I say to the talent's credit because fuck every even corporation's credit for anything. They're putting their best foot forward. I saw a lot of great matches this week. This is the part of me that's always gonna hate the fucking wrestling industry and have one foot out the door because after three
Dude,
fucking years
do you
to
know
give it to this
what would be
motherfucker,
fucking legendary as far as like a trope subversion that would take a story from shit to incredible?
if he beats Cody again at Mania 40 and says "fuck you," like getting your triumphant win back.
First of all, that would be hilarious, but that's not what I was going to say. Second of all, I think that would actually be bad in the sense that like fuck you heat would incur for sure.
I mean, I'd cackle. I feel like
Oh,
that
we would
kind of
have a great
counterweighs all the
time with
fuck
it.
you
We would
heat.
laugh our asses off at it, but people were already upset about last year. If they do it 2 years in a row, and especially on a pay per view that's like a WrestleMania that's divisible by 10, like a WrestleMania that's historically been closed out by the babyface that everyone loves standing tall. Oh my god, the heat.
Also, Sammy's main eventing WrestleMania. No, no, no.
Dude, yeah,
But I get what you're saying.
but no, but what I was gonna say is, if CM Punk wins the Rumble and goes after Roman Reigns, because there's actually more of a story there than there is between Roman and Cody, and Roman just beats Punk at Mania instead.
I want him to make Punk publicly kiss that fucking ring so goddamn bad.
No, but seriously
Oh
though,
my
think
god.
about how much of a story. I'm telling you, I want Roman to tell Punk that he's gonna stack him and smash him and win, but he'll make him look really strong and then wink at the camera. We need that fucking moment.
I feel like this for you is me just dying to hear Okada say just once, "I hate competing in poor districts."
Yeah,
Like,
it
we just
is. It
take
really is. You're
that.
100% right. We both have hills that we're not willing to die, that we are willing to die on, that are probably completely never going to happen. But there's a part of me that feels like it's gonna fucking happen.
I mean, on my end, to be fair, I've updated it because for me now, it would be Okada looking at the camera and being like, "Listen, I know the yen's being destroyed, but it's not affecting me, so we'll all be okay," or something to
But
that
I'm not
effect.
feeling it.
Ex Yes. If you're gonna be rich, own it all the fucking way. But yeah, no, I wanna see Roman Big League Punk.
I really,
He can go
dude,
fuck himself.
especially because it's like you're subverting so many tropes with that one move. Because, like, the first trope you're subverting is everyone thinks Cody's going to win the Rumble, and then Punk does it. The second trope you're subverting is everyone expects Punk to go after Rollins because of the shit Rollins talked about Punk while he was gone. That's number two, and he goes after Roman instead. And then the third one that you're subverting is that then everyone would expect Punk to beat Roman for the title. And no, fuck you. Roman just retains again.
Just because I love where your mind's at, can I just tack on one thing
Of
there?
course.
If if you do all that, and again, I see your vision, especially if Roman just wins at the end. I honestly would just get Punk Rollins out of the way at Chamber because it could also work to be like, look, nobody's ever had Roman Reigns' number like I have. And I know I'm better than you, so what hope do you have of beating Roman Reigns? If they really wanted to make Punk seem like he had a shot, and then he just beats Rollins in a fucking non-title matchup, or maybe just a matchup if he drops the title by then, but I kind of doubt it. So,
Maybe he
like, yeah,
cashes in before then. Oh,
yeah, maybe,
oh. Cody puts his fucking Rumble title shot on the line, and Rollins tries to go after Roman.
yeah, yeah. There are possibilities. There
I'm
are,
getting
I mean,
goosebumps from the fantasy booking. That's how you know it's good.
well, I mean, we're in that season where fantasy bookings at an all-time high because a lot of people have hopes and dreams, and none of them usually come true. But maybe this time, um,
Maybe this time, dude.
it really has.
To be fair, we're already at least part of the way there because Punk is the heavy favorite to win the men's Rumble.
True, true,
So Punk
true.
could win the men's Rumble, and there is nobody saying like he has to pick Rollins as his WrestleMania opponent.
CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. Winner gets custody of Paul
I mean,
Heyman.
dude, how hilarious would it be if literally Punk is like, I won the Royal Rumble. This is like the post Mania or the post Rumble Raw. I won the Royal Rumble, and I'll be announcing who my WrestleMania opponent is next week. And then that night, Priest cashes in on Rollins.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, Punk could either go against this guy he's never heard of before, never really interacted with before, or he could go after the guy that was literally usurping him as he was on his way out. Gee, I wonder who he'll pick.
And then Priest can just be like, "Well, I just sent Rollins' WrestleMania dreams south of heaven because he wins with that fucking
And then,
chokeslam or whatever the fuck."
oh my god! And then we get a legendary Sami Zayn elimination chamber performance where he survives. He opens the match and he survives the whole match and gets the last elimination to win. Oh my god! It's all there. Fuck.
And then, and then Kevin Owens betrays him at WrestleMania just to restart that feud for the 5,000th
God
time.
damn it.
Uh,
No, we deserve a Sami Zayn world title run. God damn it. He's put in so much fucking work.
he really has, but Kevin is just so petty. He's like, "I
Not
lost
even
to
on the right,
Logan fucking
not even on the
Paul."
right brand either. They're not even on the same brand anymore.
Yeah. Ashton, in one of my favorite cinema quotes of all time, life finds a way. But let's
Super
go
Blue.
through.
Actually, I'm glad you asked that because yes, I do. I genuinely think that Miz and Truth are our next tag champs. I genuinely do.
Well, I mean, it does kind of line up with Finn and Priest.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I really do think that's the case. I think that they set this up perfectly for those guys to be the next tag champs.
You really don't think they're just gonna give it to DIY?
Who?
Because that's been on my mind too. Say that again.
I said who?
Well, I mean DIY,
No,
Ciampa and Gargano.
I don't. No, fuck that. Fucking
You know
apes.
what? You had the perfect amount of dismissiveness there. I'm not even gonna pursue it further. That was hilarious.
Nice.
Um, yeah, Super Blue. I'm not even gonna. I didn't see Joe's promo. I don't really care what MJF does as far as surgery or rehab, so I'm just gonna disregard those questions. And so yeah. Any other questions?
God, I had way too much fun fantasy booking on this show, and now I'm way too excited, which means that when reality happens, I'm going to be that much more disappointed by it.
Listen, my heart is big enough. My heart is big enough to accommodate both you and Superior Paul's emotional needs. I've got you. I've got you. You're safe.
Thanks, bud. Thanks. Because
All
Jabari
right.
was in chat like, but what about Cody? And then he's saying me as in him. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him and his flesh-eating neck tattoo. I will stay on his head about that fucking style choice till I die. Um,
Yeah. I mean, is there another story that Cody could finish at WrestleMania that isn't him winning the title that has been in the middle of a 3-year long, almost 4-year now at this point storyline that he is not a part of?
yeah, and his narcissism and his own, but I left the other company that I started anyway because I wanted to be the man there, and you know Tony Khan had other ideas, so now I want to encroach on your storyline. Go fuck yourself, dude. You're a fucking leech and you're fucking worthless.
Cody should
That's probably
feud with a returning Andrade, and then they should resolve their differences and racism again and win the tag titles.
I almost popped just with the way you said. Just with the way you said, without missing a beat, and racism again, because I was just wanted to be like, when did it end the first time? And I know when it ended the first time, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And like, fuck. I could tell that I'm starting to fade, and like, because I told you I only really, for all intents and purposes, had one fucking meal today that I just really made me feel full, and I didn't want to eat again. But now, like, I want to eat again. I'm so hungry, and I'm fading, and everybody is just insane. So I'm gonna say that there's no more questions. I'm gonna close the gate. Let's get to high spots, low shots. A lot to pick from this week.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? Because there's a lot to pick from, that means there's a lot of fun to be had. So honorary low shot is evil because I know how to work a pair of scissors, you fucking mark. Um, actual was that a golf clap?
Yes.
That's amazing. Uh, actual low shot. Oh god, again, so many to choose from. It was a very productive week this week. I am going to say Drew McIntyre though, because while Trick didn't get his world title shot, he at least kept it. Drew got his and he lost, and
True.
therefore, by that principle, he goes to the back of the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, Drew's gonna be my low shot this week.
Yeah. You know, I will say my low shot this week didn't actually lose a match because they didn't actually have a match, but they were made to look really, really bad multiple times over multiple shows. And I complain
Yeah.
about it every time because they shouldn't be made to look this bad. And that's Bullet Club Gold.
Yeah. Fool's gold, more like.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh,
The
yeah,
raspberries.
I'm so talented. It was earned. Um,
True.
I'm sorry. It really wasn't. I'm delirious. Don't pay any attention to me. Um, high spot for me. Again, I'm gonna have fun with this because it was a big week, and I actually really did pay attention this week. So honorary high spot for me, Konosuke Takeshita, because he had one of my favorite matches this week, and he fucking won. Which is just beautiful. But then, God, my actual high spot this week. It, hmm. You know what? No, I don't wanna do that one because you may pick them. I don't wanna take that from you potentially. Uh,
Okay.
so let me you know what? Because he is growing on me, really just the booking is the problem, but even that's getting better. I'm gonna go with Trick Williams. Whoop
Nice.
that trick, baby.
Yeah.
I'm vibing with the fucking dude. Again, just don't Superman him because he's a really what I like about Trick, I'll tell you, especially with how he came up, he feels like one of us in a way. That is very endearing. When you Superman him and like, oh, look at him overcome these odds in such an unrealistic way, that ruins it. Now, again, they only did it one time. I actually liked how they booked the Grayson Waller matchup pretty perfectly, actually.
Yeah.
Um, and in a way, I could even get the Iron Survivor because it's like, look at how you book Dragunov. So in a way, you kind of put yourself in a corner. But I'm looking forward to that title match because Trick is he's got an everyman quality, and Dragunov's a fucking tank, or at least he's presented as one. So it should be a great matchup. But he kept his title shot. I like the dude. His stock's on the rise, and he's even made me enjoy Booker T more than I ever have. Oh shucky cowie moo moo, baby, it's fucking happening. So who's your high spot?
My high spot. I'm kind of juggling a few names in my mind. I think. Hmm. I think for simplicity's sake, and because we keep complaining about someone that could ruin this person's life, I'm gonna say Seth Rollins is my high spot because he won against Drew, which like honestly, that's a big fucking deal. Drew is a huge threat, and you just sent him to the back of the line, as you mentioned in your low shot, and again avoids a cash in. Like that's huge too. So yeah, Seth is my high spot.
Since you took Seth, I just want to say, now I'm not gonna like formally add this in. My high spot's done. The person I was thinking that I want to take away from you was Io because she retained her title and she's still like kind of subtly, not so subtly, trying to ship Bailey off to practically Siberia to get her the fuck off of Io's show and damage control.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, yeah. EO would be a really good honorable mention. Let's stick with that. EO as an honorable mention for sure.
And
They both
honestly,
had
I had to do
successful
Io.
retentions. The difference for me though, and the reason that EO wasn't a high spot is because while EO had a successful retention, her biggest threat is right under her nose, and Seth's
Yeah.
biggest threat keeps dodging him.
Yeah.
Like, Damien keeps getting subverted or subverting himself.
Yeah.
So,
And it's funny.
meanwhile, Io is like not even realizing the monster that she's putting together in Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the funny thing because the threat's right under her nose, yet she's a Triple H girl, yet the nose doesn't know.
Uh huh.
So what the fuck?
Uh
Like,
huh.
that's wild. And
Yeah.
also, I had to mention EO because you had my personal favorite moment in Weekend Review tonight where you impersonated Bailey because I'm still gonna be giggling about that tomorrow. Yeah, this was all my idea. I'm the best. Like,
I thought of
fuck.
this. This is exactly what I wanted. That silence, folks, is John dying.
That silence was actually me squeeing. I should have uncrisped because I think that squee would have made you pop. It was baby squee, but it was extended baby squee. It was pretty
Nice.
intense.
I am a little upset that I missed it, but I'm glad it happened at all.
Oh god. Okay, so yeah, we need to get the fuck out of here. So yeah, this has been Week in Review. Jesus Christ, what a review we did.
Three
Thank
hours and 16 minutes.
here's the thing. It's after 2 a.m. I know our fans live in different parts of like the country or even like in other countries. I don't think that's the case here though. I think it is just like domestically or nationally. And we still have 6 people watching. Like, that is huge. Thank you guys for staying up with us through the whole thing. I think our peak was, like, 11 viewers for, like, 2 seconds.
I actually
So
think we
every
had 12 viewers for like a split second.
I will take partial credit because I did tweet out this link at one point. I did a
You
shit ton of
are
hashtags, so
wonderful,
people
you
like,
marketing king.
"Thanks." So yeah, this was great. I'm fucking starving, y'all. I can't wait to eat.
I'm pretty hungry too
I
myself.
yeah, I think we both need to refuel, bro. We put in the work. Um So, yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. Please leave a like if you haven't as you file out. Subscribe, click the bell icon. The year's just getting started, and TwitWoW will always be cooking. Check out everything we're involved in the stream box. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch because we are the best wrestling podcast in all the IWC. And we will see you guys again, I guess Thursday for Stardom catch up. You know,
Unless
first
you're in the
Stardom
Discord,
shows.
in which case we'll see you Monday night for game night.
Exactly. Monday Night Video Night. Again, Discord, $3 a month for patrons. Just check it out on the Patreon below.
And I've kind of made a
And
habit of being in the Discord call basically every night except for Thursdays, which is when I do Stardom. Because, like,
yeah,
we do our Monday and Friday game nights, but then, like, I've been getting into the audio calls on Tuesdays for NXT and Wednesdays for Dynamite as well. And Saturdays for Collision, too. Like, I'm just in there all the time. John really does prefer text as his
yeah.
medium of communication. He loves being able to talk to you guys through text, and the calls do overwhelm both of us. I just tolerate, I think, it a little better.
A little better. I'm still obviously going to be in the calls Mondays and Fridays, obviously, but like for NXT and for Dynamite and stuff, especially again, if I have the inclination when it comes to AEW. NXT, I think I'm actually really going to make an effort. I liked NXT this past Tuesday. I want to
I like
see,
it when the calls are like 5 or 6 people. They're nice and chill when
yeah,
it's like 4, 5, 6, and especially when it's like a nice cozy group. But like when it gets up to like 7 or more, it is very overwhelming, and there's so many voices trying to talk over each other. It is very, very frustrating for sure.
For sure, but I've really enjoyed, watching NXT with people again, like Sean and Foster and, like, Javaris.
Dude, when I get
Great
into a
interactions.
call and it's just like me, Javaris, Dom, Sean, oh my god, this it's fucking heaven. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so chill and happy and the vibes are immaculate.
Yeah, for sure. And again, for me, guys, you don't have to worry. This is not me saying I'm gonna be dipping out Mondays and Fridays. I just think again for NXT, which I really do want to make a concerted effort to watch more this year because I like last Tuesday. You'll just see me in the live wrestling discussion and Dynamite for as long as they can keep me. Same thing.
Good
Even
luck,
SmackDown.
Antonio.
Yeah, yeah. Anthony, go fuck yourself.
Anthony. Yeah, I think it
Uh,
actually is Anthony too. Oh god, it's the
yeah,
lighter name. Fuck.
I know. I mean, even Friday, I had a great interaction with Super Blue. We had a great time interacting. Me just
Yeah,
reminding him how much
trolling
LA
each
Knight
other.
sucks. Yeah, exactly. Has he dislodged a stick from his ass yet, Super Blue? Don't answer that. We all know the answer is no.
Oh,
So
we're
yeah,
going with the stick in the ass narrative. I thought he had a fresh load up there.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you believe Sean, which why wouldn't you? The dude's a
Yeah,
fucking king. It's a whole kendo stick up
this
there.
dude out
So
here
like,
dropping dookies and not wiping.
Jesus Christ. I mean, LA Blight. Am I right? Of course I am.
Oh my god, you
So
popped me right at the finish line.
I know. Oh my god, that pop was so adorable too. Look at you, you cutie. All right, well, we gotta get out of here. I am hungry and delirious. All right, you guys take care. We'll see you Thursday again. If you're part of the broader TWitWoW community, we'll see you Discord Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. It's meant to be enjoyed. I know I'm gonna enjoy my Sunday. I got fucking fresh and clean for this shit. I won't sleep in. I'm gonna do a shit ton of reading tomorrow. You guys enjoy your weekend however you want to. We'll be seeing you again soon. Super Blue answered the question. He said, yes, he has. How would you know that? All right, guys. Until then, be good to yourselves and each other. Tune in. Peace out.